Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Douglas Conservation Commission meeting for Monday, March 18th, 2019. The time is now 7:02, and I will take the first public hearing is an amended notice of intent for 34 Davis Street, JMT Sleepy Hollow LLC. Come on over.
Got an old version and a new version, looks like.
Just 'cause it's my first time here, is there a
Okay.
particular spot you want me to stand up?
There is a board. Did you bring anything to
I don't
present?
have anything, mine's only 8.5 by 11.
Okay, do you have a couple copies?
I do have a couple copies.
Okay, we can lay them up on the table.
Sure thing.
You can introduce yourself. Once you give me the hearing notice in the newspaper.
That's one thing also. Do you need a certificate of mailing as well?
Yep.
Okay, I know we gave Maria a hard copy in the original already. If not, I can also give you
Let me
one
just
extra
double
copy
check.
that I have.
All right, I've got the hearing, the notice. So let me just see. Yeah, and I've got your originals.
Okay, and then this, was do you want to bring this? If
I
this
got
is
it.
what you're looking for?
Yep.
And then would you need anything else in particular, or?
No.
Okay.
Town of Douglas Conservation Commission, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 01516. Legal notice of public hearing. The commission will hold a public hearing for JMT Sleepy Hollow LLC on Monday, March 4th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, for work to be done pursuant to the Town of Douglas Wetland Bylaw and the Wetland Protection Act, Mass General Law 131, Section 40. The proposed work location will be done on 34 Davis Street and involves the relocation of a water line easement and installation of the water line for a single-family subdivision. And that's it. Name would be great.
My name is John Federico with Gurrier and Haldon, and as you mentioned, I'm representing our clients, JMT Sleepy Hollow LLC. For this project here, initially plans for the subdivision were already submitted. The original date for that, I'm not too sure, but as of June 19th of 2018, a revision was made to the plans where initially we were showing a water main easement cutting through lot 34 on Davis Street, where it is approximately 7,520 square feet for that water main easement. As a part of our revision, we reduced down the easement to about 7,297 total square feet. And everything that ended up taking place, we ended up shifting the easement line about 13.2 feet away from the adjacent wetland. But as far as any sort of construction activities go, nothing will be taking place in the no disturb area. We've just tried to push everything over to maximize space on 34 and then allow that lot to be used for other purposes, or potentially just to allow for some extra green space to kind of buffer from any of the adjacent neighbors there.
So your primary purpose is to do what?
We're just
For the
looking just
modification?
to amend the original order of conditions, just to reflect the new easement
To get
location.
closer to the wetland.
Yes. And that was something that we initially did submit. As far as the departments go, excuse me, because I'm filling in for somebody today. But that was something that everybody, including, I believe it was the Public Works Department, was on board for. And at this point, we were just submitting just to get your guys' blessing.
Yeah, so why would it be advantageous to move towards the wetland? For our board, for protecting the wetland?
I mean, as far as any sort of protection goes, I mean, we're not trying to change anything in terms of what's being disturbed out there. Obviously, we'll try to keep everything as far away from the wetland as possible in terms of construction, but it is just shifting over the easement line in total.
Where, okay, so the water line is staying exactly the same as it was
The
approved?
water line has shifted slightly for it, just so we
okay,
can show
I
it
see.
represented on the plan,
Right.
centered on that. But if that's something that we do need to put it a little bit closer to the edge of the wetland, or sorry, away from the wetland, obviously we can make those adjustments out in the field accordingly. As far as construction goes, water main has not been constructed yet. This is all paper right now, and when they're going to be looking to do that, I would have to follow back up with you guys on it.
Okay. How are you digging the water line?
That's something I'm not sure of. Don't know what process the contractors will be doing in that case. If it is something that you would need some sort of condition for around that wetland area, obviously we can try to accommodate in any which way possible.
I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around why are we moving it towards it if there's really no advantage.
And as I mentioned, the person that was supposed to be coming in today, I'd have to talk to him about it. He's out sick. The only thing that I could really see at this point is trying to maximize any sort of space. I know that allowing that shift will add approximately, I believe it's about 10 feet to the frontage there. I'm not sure if that will allow us any sort of variance to possibly develop that lot or anything along those lines, but.
Well, you still get the frontage even if you have an easement along the
Okay.
frontage. So that's not really a good reason. Steve, do you have any information on this?
No, I thought they were just. I could be wrong. I thought maybe it was the angle to get rid of the angles in the water pipe and straighten it out. But
That could have been the case. These discussions
The
took
angles
place
are just
before.
cut.
Could you grab me a
So I would
please?
recommend maybe continue to another meeting and so you get a representative that maybe understands the project a little more.
We're talking about this little wetland in here, right?
Yes,
Yes.
so
Is that the water line?
This is the water line right here. This is where it used to be.
On those plans, the water line that's going to be proposed should be the blue one.
Yes.
And then there's also a slightly faded back water line. That
was the
should
original
be
plan.
there
And
as
like
well.
this
Is it blue?
portion right here, I mean, it's pretty much impossible to not
Yeah,
have
Yeah, it's
you
this guy
going
here.
over that line.
Right,
So
I mean,
that's
you
why
got-
if
Only
you had
one.
some
In this case here, I mean,
direction
we can definitely,
Is this one right
extend this
here?
further out to keep it farther away from it and keep it a little bit closer to the side of the easement if that's something that
so
would
I
be
would say
acceptable in that
keep
case.
the old one.
If directional drilling or something along those lines where it's less
The new one.
disturbing
How
How
of the
close will he,
area, we can try to propose doing that as well.
Yeah.
Propose new.
It's almost, it's within,
Line.
it's almost to 25.
Yeah.
So I guess as far as being advantageous for the protection of that wetland resource area, we're pretty familiar where it is. We went through this project for a very long
I do
time.
have one other copy that I could give you,
No, it's
Steve, if
okay.
you need to look at that at all.
There's an existing water gate right in the street here. Is that maybe why? Just grasping at straws on.
As far as the existing goes, I'm not sure which
I don't
one
think there
you're
is.
looking
I
at
think
there.
there-
Okay, I'm looking.
Those three are the ones that we would be proposing as far as that.
Okay.
I believe the only existing gate valve that is there would be the one that's located over by where the hydrant is.
Okay, so we did approve this project with that water line in
Mhm.
place at that location. So, I would need something to sway me besides that it becomes a buildable lot.
If we are to proceed with doing a directional drilling in that area, or even for that whole stretch run through Lot 34, would that be something that the commission might be on board for, where it wouldn't necessarily be disturbing a lot of the ground surface there?
Yeah, I think it would be less likely that, and we did talk about this at the last
Yeah.
hearing.
Yeah, I would recommend just send me an email and give reason, detailing the reasons why you're doing it.
Okay.
I mean, it's only moving about 10 feet, right?
Yes.
So I just don't know what you're gaining with the 10 feet.
And as Steve mentioned, just because I was kind of brought into this project well after all those decisions were made, it could have been something very well where it might have just been the angle for it, because it was kind of cut a little bit strangely initially. But as I mentioned, if you would like us to, directional drill or do anything along those lines, we'll obviously work with you guys as much as we can in order to gain the approval for this.
Or do you have any other questions for the applicant? I think at this point we need some more information.
We approved it with the original
Yeah,
location
Right.
of the line.
and there was no requirements for directional drilling, I don't think, so they could be from the surface and, the material and moving around and such.
They wanna move it
10
closer.
feet closer.
Yeah, they're going from here to here. They were here. Which looks better. What you had on the plan, which you originally approved, looks a lot better from what I'm saying.
And then there was no concerns from the water department on the original location, right?
Not that I'm aware of. And I believe the water department also had no concerns over the new proposed location as well.
Do you have any questions?
No,
Or
I
you want to
don't.
wait till next time?
Can move it till next time because
Okay, so you kind of understand where we're
Okay.
heading.
I mean, if it is something that we just need to provide an email stating originally that maybe we couldn't cut that angle and
We need
offer
some
directional
sort of-
drilling or something, if we
Yeah.
can do it possibly conditionally, just so we can avoid coming back for the next meeting, I have no issues with getting you guys some answers tomorrow.
I don't
Um,
feel comfortable doing any of that,
Okay.
just because I'm not sure what the advantage is.
Okay.
Shifting it 10 feet closer to the wetland. I know it's a utility and temporary disturbance, and we make, if there was a house right there, you had to put it there. I could see some structure existing or conditions that are existing, but, I'm not quite sure where that's going. So, this is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments about this hearing?
I guess I
Front
feel.
row?
Megan Mahalik, 48 Davis Street. I guess I feel the same way you guys do. I mean, I don't understand why it's changing. I know it's 10. You say it's 10 feet away from the wetland, but it's not. Is that the wetland or is that the stream?
That's what we had as a delineated line for the wetland. So that might not be the actual wet portion. It could be some vegetation or something that's indicating that.
Okay.
But-
It's 10 feet from the original location, approximately, closer to the BVW.
That's closer to Davis Street.
It's
right?
only the front, it's only the front portion that's adjusting.
Yeah, so so the wetland.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
here's
yeah,
the
all
pictures
right.
up on the screen here.
Yeah.
Wet right there, right?
What's that?
The
Looking at that as being
stake
wet.
there.
Yeah, there's that, let's see if I got a better picture. Here's the fire hydrant. So I'm looking right down the line. This is the crossing up here. You got the old house here.
Mm-hmm.
This is wet.
Right.
There's a little pocket of wetland in here.
Okay.
And I think they skirted that originally.
Okay.
No,
Come back and tie into the water line, and I think this bend, I'm speculating. They wanna
There's
get rid
not
of
a
it. They just
bend
wanna
there.
come straight.
that's. There's not a bend there. It comes. They have to cut a new hole in
And
the
it's
street.
about 52 feet away from the fire hydrant, that way, down the street.
Going down- oh,
The
other-
new
The
location.
new location.
Yeah, the old location was about
60 feet.
40, 50, 66. Yeah, about 76 feet.
To keep it off the wetlands.
Well, away. I mean, both weren't, disturbing that wetland,
Right.
but
Okay.
it's moving closer. Yes,
Dennis
name and
Mahalik-
address, please.
Yeah, Dennis Mahalik, 415 Northeast Main Street. I'm just curious, is that, you said a house lot? You're doing this, there a house lot there now too?
Currently, and I can show
I
you
know,
this
that was
plan.
just an easement to go through for a, but you
So-
said something about a house lot.
We do have on parcel D an existing house that's located here.
Right,
And
that's-
then the easement and everything will be located
Right,
through
I mean,
here.
I think Fitzpatrick got that one, I think, right?
Yes, a deal has been
Yeah,
marked out for
okay,
that.
yeah,
as
no,
part
I
of the
just, it
subdivision.
sounded like you had a house lot there now, I just.
Like I said, I'm not 100% sure if they might be trying to utilize that in the future in any way. That would be something that I would have to reach out to the gentleman who couldn't make it in today. So again,
I bet you're really mad at him.
at him.
No, it's okay. It happens. So you kind of understand where we're coming from and the
Yep.
questions that we need solved in order to move for the minor modification or the amended modification. Amended NOI.
I can definitely reach out and then.
We typically don't get closer unless there's a real issue, like there was ledge or something like that. We don't, once, they fought very hard to get that line where it was at this
Yeah,
point,
no, I
so.
completely understand. And I can definitely try to get you guys some answers tomorrow. In terms of the best person to relay that to, would that be you, Steve?
Yes.
Or is there somebody else directly that you would like me to reach out to?
Nope,
for all that?
Steve's our man.
Okay.
Just send me an email.
And then, did you have anything that you would like me to look into at all for this, Steve, as well, or just a couple of the points you had?
Nope,
Oh, that's
just the
Okay.
reasoning on that. So our next meeting is April 1st. And do we have available?
15?
7:15?
What did he say, 8:15?
7:15.
7:15.
So then, do we have to make a motion to continue?
So-
I make a motion to continue to the next meeting,
At,
7:15.
yes. Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So
Thank you very much, I appreciate
7:15 and April 1st.
All right, thank you very
Fool's
much.
Day. Thank you. Okay, next hearing is an ANRAD at 7:15, Thomas Circle off of South Street, Court Solar LLC.
Did I do put this up here? or-
Sure, yeah, we can pull that as close as to Mike's head as we possibly can.
Okay, my name is Brad Saunders. I'm with GEI Consultants. And I'm here this evening representing Quartz Solar on their ANRAD petition. Last time we were with the commission was, I think, beginning of December, at the early December hearing. We provided the funds for the commission's consultant to go out on the site. And I met with the consultant, Art Allen, on, I believe, February 15th.
Okay.
We reviewed all of the wetlands on the property, and there's a number of resource areas. There's bordering vegetated wetland, which is indicated in the red marking. There's perennial stream, so we have stream bank associated with Tinkerville Brook. And there's a little bit of a story with that, which I'll share with you in a moment. We also have a floodplain, so we have bordering land subject to flooding, which is in the ground. And then in the green is the riverfront area, measured 200 feet back from the perennial stream. So, and I have 2 copies of this plan for the commission
Thank you.
at this size.
In the green.
So, beginning with Tinkerville Brook, there's a beaver dam that's been formed in the
Nice.
middle of the brook here. So we were unable to flag the bank of the stream because that's underwater somewhere. So I discussed that with Art, and the solution that he suggested is that we use an aerial photograph to identify the stream channel to the north and west of where the beavers have done their thing. So what we did is we looked at Google Earth to come up with an aerial photo that most clearly showed that channel, because of course this is all wooded through here. And we did come up with one from 2015 that fairly clearly shows the channel. And we shared that with Art, and what we show on this plan now in the dashed line here is what that 2015 aerial showed for the location of the channel. Okay, so we have a solid blue line below the beaver dam and the dashed line above. The green line is the riverfront area measured from the combination of the estimated line up here and the flag line below.
200 feet?
What was that?
200 feet?
Yes. Yep. And again, the brown line is land subject to flooding, that's from the FEMA mapping. And the bordering vegetated wetlands are in red. Now, when I met with the commission back beginning of December, I didn't believe there was any wetland down in this area here. It had been identified as a wetland resource area back in 2006 by Haynes Hydrogeologic for the subdivision project. I didn't believe there was a wetland down there. When I went out with Art, we did identify a small segment of BVW that comes up into the site here. It expands as you go south from the site. So we've identified that. We put out a series of 10 flags, and these are the surveyed locations.
A1 to A10?
Yep.
Okay.
The other BVW we found was up in here. That was also identified by Haynes Hydrogeologic, and essentially it's in the same location.
Okay.
So we looked at that flagging up there. The next story was there was a wetland identified up in here by Haynes Hydrogeologic. And they actually had received an order of conditions involving about 400 square feet of filling with something like 800 square feet of replication being involved. Well, we couldn't find a wetland up there.
Okay.
And Art specifically looked at the area also, and Stephen did too at one point. And it just doesn't seem to be a wetland there.
Okay.
So that's the situation with that. And so this is the plan that we've put together. Art said it needed to be stamped by a surveyor, which we did.
For the riverfront?
Well, for the entire thing. This,
Okay.
by the way, is the current as-built plan for the property. This was just generated in December
Okay.
by that surveyor. So that's the plan. And we're looking for an ORAD.
So existing now is we have an order of conditions.
Yep.
The request was put in for a certificate of compliance?
No, we haven't done that yet.
Okay. So before we can issue any additional permits, we've got to close out the old one.
Right.
Is
So
that your
no,
understanding?
I understand
Okay.
that from the last meeting.
Okay.
I guess my question is what exactly the commission needs for that. We have an as-built here.
Stabilization of the site on the work that was completed. So I think when, Steve, do you have any pictures?
Yeah, my machine's updating.
Something
so-
happened here?
Yeah. So, Art, there was some issues with stormwater runoff that he said is getting to the stormwater management system. And I think it might be in one of the earlier, his first report.
Yeah, I
So-
went through it and there's.
I'm ready to close out the old one, especially because of that, no replication. I think you agree if Art has said there's no hydric soils or any indicator plants, we can, for the road coming in,
Well,
400
For
feet.
this
and
one right here.
You've already
well,
replicated
that I
it?
would say, if they file for certificate of compliance, that was part of their order of conditions on the original subdivision, that they wouldn't have to replicate that because it was probably determined that it's not a resource area, so there's no
Okay.
replication necessary. But everything else that's associated with the order of conditions, which is part of the original subdivision approval, that's what they're asking for the certificate of compliance on.
Right, so we would have a partial,
Well, you could do a full if they want to get rid of it, if they're asking for, I don't know what they're asking for, but.
they're closing out the old order.
Well, no, what we're asking for, I just want to make it clear,
Yeah,
is we're asking for an ORAD so that we can begin looking at what kind of a solar array can actually be placed on this property. That's what we're really looking for right now.
And we
So the
can't give that
question
to you.
is, I understand. So the question is, what do we need for a certificate of compliance in order to get
you've got
that?
your as-built plan, it needs to be stabilized. So there's still erosion heading into the catch basins on the site. And that is part of the order.
Right, actually,
And
the
that's not
erosion.
complying.
Okay, I understand.
Okay,
The erosion is actually entering the roadway system, okay? The roads are completely curbed, everything's there. The only thing is some of the catch basin filters are no longer filtering, okay? So we can stabilize that by cleaning the roadway, the material off the roadway, and restoring those filters in the catch basins. But in terms of going out there with equipment and
Yeah, so,
reworking the site at this point, that would happen when they start to do the construction for the solar array.
so it's my understanding that you're in contact with town council regarding the subdivision aspect
Yeah.
of it, so our last conversation, if you want to put an email that we could send to Jay, since he's looking at planning board, get some advice on how to proceed
Yeah.
closing out the order.
Okay. Or is the applicant gonna do that, or are you gonna do that?
No, he should request it first.
Okay, so request the order. Because your new order will be based on what you flagged if you're within any jurisdiction, but we can't exactly let you off the hook if there's erosion occurring.
Well, we're not looking to be let off the hook. We didn't
You're
cause
trying
any
to
of that
say-
anyway.
I know, you did that, I know, I saw you in the backhoe, yeah.
Well, the owner signed the ORAD, who was the owner of the subdivision.
As the owner, not as the applicant.
Signed the ANRAD.
The ANRAD, right?
Okay.
I mean, the ANRAD.
I wish he could sign the ORAD. That would be all set.
So this looks
okay.
good. I think we're in agreement with Art's review with our 2 letters and your line. Steve has double checked it, and I don't think it's much different than the previous one. But we just need to sort out what comes next, I guess you would say.
Right.
My opinion is you have to close out your old order of conditions by satisfying, the little bit that's needed to prevent that erosion. And I think we'd be ready to issue the ORAD. And then you can go on your way. I think that you could reasonably determine that this is what you're going to use for your solar. I think we can tell him that, right? Like, these lines this is going to be your jurisdictional areas.
Right, but from their financing standpoint, they have to actually have an ORAD.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know
No,
about that. I
we
mean,
have
you
to
gotta
close
have.
out
Well,
the-
that's what they tell me.
Right. I mean, you're through planning board too. So
Oh, no, I understand
you gotta
that,
get
too.
through there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think you can reasonably determine that these are going to be your areas based on what we're telling you. It's just more of a procedural question on making sure that just in case you leave and you never come back to the site, we're not going to give you a certificate of compliance with there's something, going into the stormwater's going into the roadway. Because the town doesn't want to have to pay for that to clean it out. So I don't know if you can come up with a, permanent type of wall situation. I don't know where the erosion's coming from. Waiting
It's
for
just coming from stockpiles.
Oh.
But they're like in here.
Okay.
Okay, so that they're inside of the roadway, and the roadway, which is all bermed, and has
Yeah.
all of the curbing and
Yeah.
everything on them, is actually holding that material and preventing it from coming out, except for the drainage. So as long as it's got a potential to get into that drainage system, then it has a potential to go into the sediment basin
Right.
and the detention basin. But you can clean that up and put in new filters for the inlets, which will prevent any of that material from coming out of here and getting into that detention basin.
So what do the inlets look like right now?
They have,
Ooh.
well, you can't see it because it's
My.
underneath. You see right on the left there where
Yes.
it's,
Breaking out.
well, yeah, right where you were just pointing with the, yeah, right in there. There's a catch basin right there, okay? And the catch basin has a filter fabric over it and used to have some kind of hay bales around it. Well, the hay bales are gone. The hay bales are on some other drainage inlets in the site. But they're gone from there, and it appeared that the filter fabric had ripped or torn at that particular location, which is what's allowing any of that silt from coming in. But you can see to the left is actually this over here. So it's inside the roadway. It's in here, and it's coming off of this pile.
I mean, could you do cement blocks or something? I guess come up with something that is,
To better protect the pile
Yeah.
and then clean up the street and then
Well,
clean
we
out
can
the
put-
filters.
We can put some silt fencing around there,
Yeah.
which will take care of that. I don't think you need cement blocks, you don't need anything that heavy to
well, I'm
be
just
water.
thinking if you abandon the site and then, you know, that won't, that'll at least forever prevent if it's a small area that you're saying is eroding. Steve, do you have any, suggestions on this? Or are you good with, asking town council?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do a certificate of compliance, have them submit the certificate of compliance, and we'll send it off to town council. I mean, typically, it's a subdivision, it's an approved subdivision, and that's what, it's still an approved subdivision.
Yes, it is.
Can you issue a certificate of compliance with the provision? In other words, a provisional or a partial?
Well, typically, the
that
project gets done
regard.
first. Certificate's the last thing that you ask for.
So it's coming down where this cleared area is? Is that where it's coming down?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't wanna bring a machine in there, throw a bunch of big cement blocks across the way, and then it will forever not erode. I mean, you can come up with your ideas, but we need to make sure that nothing's going in this street. Everything needs to be stabilized. I think we have to draw the line somewhere, and we don't want that catch basin. We don't wanna have to care for that if it's somebody else's property.
Okay, but we can, like I said, we can put a silt fence and if you want some cement blocks along it.
I mean, I'm open to suggestions just so that it's not eroding. It looks like it's just because it was cleared out over there or something.
Yeah, well, obviously, we don't want to build a cement wall, which is gonna
No,
be
I
something that
don't
we have
think
to
you'd
tear
have a
down.
cement-
So
I don't
if
think
it's
you need
just
a
putting some
cement wall.
cement blocks out,
It's wherever it's coming
Yeah.
down the hill there.
okay. We can suggest
I mean-
something like that.
Dig a slurry pit? I don't know. I don't know what the situation is out there. First, request the certificate, talk to town council, and then we'll try to get you on your way.
Okay.
But I think this looks good. Request for a certificate of compliance for the
what they
existing
need.
order of conditions. So we can't issue an additional permit on the same exact site. Cause then they could come back and ask for another order after this. Let's just say if they want to get close.
The existing order of conditions was based on this being a
Subdivision.
subdivision.
With the
Same owner, same-
stormwater, yes, it's the same owner.
Yeah, and it has very specific conditions in it.
Yeah. Yep.
That essentially have been met, with the exception of that replacement wetland, which doesn't need to be met because,
And we're giving you that.
right.
Whoever hired the last consultant. So I think we just the site needs to be stabilized. That's the bottom line. I don't think we want to see that.
Right.
Just because it's heading into the town's drainage. It's hooked in, right?
No.
In the street?
No.
No? It's
No,
going
no,
to
no.
the detention?
No, it goes to this detention basin.
Okay,
But still.
yeah, which is very close to the wetland.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay,
all right,
Excellent.
that sounds
all
good.
right.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? I think you're off the hook. Steve, when is the next hearing
7:30.
time? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion made to continue to the April hearing at 7:30.
April 1st.
Yeah.
First. Okay.
You're here, second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What time? 7:30?
Yes, please. Okay. The next public hearing continued for 7:30 to 170 West Street, Douglas Renewables LLC. Come on down. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Murphy. I'm a civil engineer with Fields and Thomas here on behalf of Douglas Renewables LLC. Brought a few handouts with me, some specific site plan changes that I'd like to review with the commission.
Sure.
You want?
Are these yours?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Give one to Steve as well. So the last time that we met with the commission was on February 4th, about 6 weeks ago, and there were outcomes from that meeting, specifically site plan changes with regards to clarification of notes on the timing of the year to which the wetland crossing would be proposed. So we've revised the sheet C601, which has the sequencing notes on it, and those notes have been revised to establish the time of year that we talked about, June through September time frame. So I'd like to just run through those notes now,
Sure.
just to. So the first note, I'll just run through here. So we talked about basically changing up the wetland crossing sequencing so that we were building the permanent access driveway up to the northern bank of the stream channel. So we were basically doing this phase 1 work, which included the construction of the gravel access road up to the BVW edge and the preparation of the wetland replication area here on the north side of the wetlands, and then also the permanent construction of the access road up to the northern bank. And we talked about only using the temporary timber mats as a bridge only, and we talked about only having that in place for a 3-week maximum. We wanted to limit that. So we've revised the notes, so I'll just run through those now to clarify that sequencing. So number 1, notify Douglas Conservation Agent prior to commencing construction of the wetland crossing / work within the BVW. Construction of the wetland crossing shall occur during the typical dry months, low flow period of the year, June through September, unless permission is granted by the Conservation Agent to perform work outside of this period. Install erosion control barriers required for the wetland crossing as shown on the site plans. Obtain approval from the Conservation Agent to proceed with clearing and grubbing of trees and removal of rocks within the proposed crossing. Recovered suitable organic soil from within the BVW may be used in the construction of the replication areas, provided it meets the requirements noted on sheet C701 in terms of the organic content and such. We had mentioned previously that we don't anticipate a lot of recoverable material, just due to the
very
nature
rocky,
of the very bouldery nature of the wetland and very thin.
Fieldstone.
Correct. Construction of the permanent wetland crossing driveway up to the northern bank of the stream channel. Temporary timber mat bridge may be installed to gain access to the south side of the wetland. To install the permanent approach for the timber bridge, please note the temporary timber mat bridge may only be in place for a maximum of 3 weeks until the permanent bridge is built. Contact the conservation agent to review the temporary timber mat stream crossing, then proceed to erosion control installation for phase 3, which is on the south side. Vehicle equipment trips over the temporary bridge shall be minimized to the extent practicable. The contractor shall monitor and maintain erosion control barriers within the crossing. Temporary timber mat bridge will remain in place up to 3 weeks prior to the installation of the permanent bridge. Site work contractor shall monitor and maintain erosion control barriers through and adjacent to the wetland. The bridge contractor shall install the timber piles, pile caps, and construct the proposed deck and railings. Timber lagging abutments shall then be installed subsequently on both sides of the bridge structure. After the permanent bridge is built, the site contractor shall complete the gravel approach ramps and sufficiently compact soils behind the timber abutments, completing the permanent driveway through the BVW. So again, we talked about building that permanent driveway right up to here and only using the mats to get across that stream. That way they can prep the other side so that they can install the permanent bridge. So we revised these little mini details here of that timber mat bridge, as well as the wetland driveway cross section as well. And I also added sequencing notes to a similar effect, which was on the notes, references, and legend sheet. And this plan set that I'm referring to is the same one that the planning board, I presented to the planning board 3 weeks ago that was voted on and approved. So these are the February 8th site plans. So those construction sequencing notes are very similar effect. On that sheet, I'm not going to reread them, but they basically say the same things on here. It's just the big picture in terms of the phase one, meaning starting at West Street, building into here, then going in and prepping the wetland replication areas, building that permanent driveway up to here, and then having that time frame of doing the work in that, within the BBW during that June to September time frame, and keeping that, only having this temporary crossing in place, this temporary timber bridge, mat bridge in place for that 3-week period before the bridge contractor will come in and install.
So the first replication area is that boot sticking down here?
That one is,
Boot looking?
that one is a much smaller one, and this is the other one. So we have the a culvert crossing that we're installing here. There was some flow observed from coming out from next to this barn. So we have an extension of this wetland. So this is a blow up of it. Basically, we're just going to install a culvert in to maintain the connectivity here of the hydrology. And we had provided this little detail here.
We didn't see the second replication area yet, right?
Well, both of them
You
were
just
on.
kinda, they were on there?
Both of them were on there last time. I just.
Where are they? Point them out.
Sure. This one is right here, and then this is the
big
primary
yeah,
one.
That's the,
This is the larger of the
They
two.
feel like splitting them up.
I think it's okay. My usual question is how do you size the culvert?
The culvert is
Is the bank width?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
sorry.
basically looked at the width of this, and we approximated a flow from that. It's basically appears like it's some emanating from a spring of some
Right.
sort next to that barn, and we basically looked at the geometry of the channel and approximated a pipe size that can convey that flow. So that's basically how we have this.
So what did you end up going with for a pipe size?
I believe it's a 12-inch
Have the milk
HDPE
cold in
with the
barn.
flared end section at either end. And again, I think this
12-inch, did you say?
exactly correct.
What kind of material?
HDP?
HDPE.
You got enough cover for that?
Yeah, I think we have about 18 inches of cover over it as designed. We had done a little cross-section detail, which was something
Because you're
that,
gonna have heavy trucks, right?
that's correct, yes.
Maybe suggest a concrete height, so you make sure you got, just in case you don't have enough cover.
Yep. Yeah, I think we should be able to make that work.
All right.
We just have it
Do you
ramping
have
up.
on these sheets the square footage for replicating?
Sure. I believe the replication area, so the larger of the two is 5625 square feet, and then the smaller one is 780 square feet, and that was the 1.5 to 1 ratio based upon the impacts, at this location, and then also for this location, the larger crossing. So we kind of.
Okay. Steve, you okay with splitting them up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried to.
Typically, you want them adjacent to the resource area they're coming from. You can
Yeah.
include them, but the other one, this one, because it's emanating from a field,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and the other one is a wooded wetland.
Yeah.
So the more clearing you're gonna do, the more you have that magnifying glass effect by burning up the undergrowth of the resource area, where this
Yeah.
one's adjacent to that
Okay.
open field look.
So it's just doing like compensatory storage kind
Yeah, I
of
think
thing?
it's.
Yeah,
if you need
But
it.
they're really two different types of
Okay.
wetlands
Yep.
in the system. They're not two wooded wetlands, one's
Okay.
more of an open field.
And this spot we picked here, it's kind of something that there's not much undergrowth, so there should be a nice canopy of overhead, shading and things, so it's just kind of expanding out this edge of the wetland here, so we shouldn't really have
And
much.
it's relatively flat, so
Very-
their side slopes. The other one, because they're carving into the hill, they gotta do a lot more disturbance just to get the square footage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one's very little grading associated with that one. It's just gonna fit in there nicely. This one we had to do a bit more grading to direct the flow. We're taking the flow off the access road and directing it into this area here. And I should just also mention, this was another thing that we added as part of the stormwater review, working with Bill on that. We had to add another small basin here, just to basically take this little section of access driveway here. So now we
You
have.
put it in the buffer?
Well, he wanted it. He wanted it down in here, but I was like, well, no. We can catch as much of this piece as possible, and still, that way we only have a very little bit of this access driveway that's unmitigated in there. So the idea was to try to capture that right there. So that was just something that he had requested. We add one there. So.
Are you crowning that, or are you tipping it to the one side?
Yeah, so this one we're cross pitching. We have these gravel water bars shown. We have a swale running down. So it's basically the idea is to just take everything and just direct it into this swale and just allow it to dissipate and infiltrate in this area, trying to follow the contour of the slope.
So that is additional disturbance in the buffer just to bring
Right.
that up. So you're at the 50, you're right on the 50 line?
Right. I
They
think
are.
the innermost part is just touching the 50. It's like the 50 to outer 100 area.
We don't have that plan. You've got erosion control around there?
Yep.
I can't
ECB.
see it
Yep.
from here.
Yep. ECB is running all the way around the side there.
What? Do you have a comment?
Yeah, why does it have to be there?
I'm not sure.
Because it was a request that Bill had during his stormwater review, and he said he wanted to see a BMP down in this area. So in order to, we had already had to expand this turnaround, so we added a basin there, and he had requested capturing more of the runoff from the driveway. So that was the reasoning behind that, and so we wanted to, essentially we wanted to make sure that we're maintaining our peak flows and protecting the wetland by capturing as much of the runoff from the driveway as we can.
Because always the fear is that the rush of water coming down the driveway would erode the wetlands.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is to try to capture as much of it, because this is all sloping down towards the wetland. So rather than have it all just coming down to here, the idea is to, infiltrate as much of it as possible, so that way you only have this very little piece coming down into the valley. So we're thinking that that's basically going to minimize, we want to protect this area as much as possible, so we don't want to have any more stormwater down here than we.
Could you pull that forward a little bit for that page? We could take
Sure.
a peek on
Yep.
what all those
Well-
symbols are.
Here.
I get it, because otherwise you have the stormwater just following the road all the way down to the bridge.
It's basically a measure
over the
to
bridge.
try to protect that area, so this may not even be even.
What is this?
So yeah, this is the erosion control barrier following here, and then it's on the down gradient side, all the way to here.
And this is the emergency spill?
That's,
What did you
yeah,
say?
that's an overflow spillway, and then there's a pipe, a smaller pipe
Where
here
is
for-
that going?
It's going towards the wetland. This is the overflow from the basin is directed this way. And then, this is basically capturing everything from this section of roadway here. So we only have now this very little piece, because the idea was to,
So tell me how much is going into here? It's here to here?
so it's from here, it's basically this piece here. It's
Here to here?
yeah.
How many feet is that?
It's probably,
Like you couldn't swale this and then put it right here and then only miss like this much?
Well, again, it was a comment that came up during the review of the stormwater where.
You put it in our jurisdiction. I wouldn't care if it was somewhere else.
Right,
You
but
added
the
it.
point of, I guess the point of Bill's comment was we're trying to capture as much runoff from the driveway. That was his concern, and I agree with him. I understand that the position is where it is, but we're trying to maximize how much we're capturing, and we're still maintaining that 50-foot outer area, that buffer zone.
Yeah, but you're gonna stop, your disturbance is gonna be right here? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, the limit of clearing is essentially the toe of the slope. So this is the bottom of the berm where it meets the existing grade essentially. So that's where this is the limit of work right here. Because we're just grading this in, and there's a little small berm here, and then it ties back into existing grades here. So again, that was something that we were asked to do by Bill, to add an extra basin in there, and that's what we did. And the numbers work in terms of stormwater, and it's necessary to achieve the stormwater, so that was why we had done that.
Will this guy feed this way? Or will it?
Yes. Yep.
Simply retain it there and.
No, I mean, there really isn't much flow coming into this thing, so in the majority of storm events, it's going to have very little flow coming out of this. So it's not gonna be, it's gonna essentially be infiltrating the stormwater. Rather than have it just run down here and cause a potential erosion issue, we were asked to add a stormwater basin here just to capture more of the flow from this driveway here. So that's what we had done. And it's gonna infiltrate in the majority of the storm events. It's a very low flow type scenario. So.
Do you ever do like water tolerant plants planted in your storm basins?
In the stormwater basin?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we basically use a seed mix that's tolerant to, periodic inundation because of the ponding in the basins.
Okay.
Yep.
Then how do you clean out the basin from the sediment? There's gonna be so much sediment.
Oh yeah, 'cause the thing is.
Well, they usually come back in, after construction, they'll have to come back in and basically clean those out and reseed those areas. That's pretty common. So when they build the site, they're gonna prioritize the construction of these areas so that there's a place for that water to go. And then further down the line, once the site becomes more established with vegetation, they're gonna have to come back in and do some cleanup on the basins. That's pretty common. But I believe that the changes, on the sequencing and things were pretty much what we had discussed last time. And again, there were these other changes that were precipitated as part of the stormwater review for the planning board. And we think that this is, meeting the stormwater standards and providing the best protection of the resource areas that are adjacent to it. So I think this basin is actually going to be a positive thing in terms of capturing flow from the runoff on the driveway. So, and it's going to maintaining that drainage pattern and infiltrating and recharging the water into this wetland system. So.
Steve, do you have any comments?
No. They did, overall did a nice job, addressing all the commission's concerns, actually.
Mm-hmm. And this was resent to DEP
Yeah, we have
as a
to,
new
yeah,
plan.
yep, we're going to send everything to them so they can.
It hasn't been sent yet?
I don't believe it's been sent yet, because we were trying to capture all the changes and file all the documents with them at once, so that we're not giving them little bits and pieces for just so they can have it on their records and files and things, so.
Or do you have any questions? I'm not a huge fan of that detention basin, just to let you know,
I got
for
the
the
feeling
record. I don't, that was a surprise that I think could have
Right.
been, better handled.
Yeah, and
Um,
I thought,
I
you know,
don't think that we disturb more instead of we're trying to just be the least disturbing. And
Well-
just because we have a policy that says you can do stuff in the 50 when you have a postage stamp lot, yeah, that wasn't the purpose of that policy that we have, to put stuff closer within just because you want it to be the round shape, like running along the road to catch the runoff, I think could have been a better alternative. But
yeah, I
if
mean, think of it as, sorry, and just think of it in terms of what we're trying to protect this area from, you know, we're gonna have a good amount of runoff coming down this driveway here, so this basin is actually gonna be protecting it by taking a lot of that flow from this
do you
upper.
have the calculation for the amount of flow that's coming off that portion of the driveway? Or you had that in your stormwater report?
I don't have it with me, but I could certainly provide it. I mean,
And it's just additional disturbance within our jurisdiction that was probably not best laid out.
We have to get all the way down there though, so, because otherwise it'll just dump itself off the bridge. But you're saying maybe the basin doesn't have to be that round shape, maybe it could be longitudinal?
well, it's kind of essentially following the contour of the slope. This was.
I
which
would
is kind of-
envision you cut it like here and you do like a country swale.
Oh, okay.
But that's basically no different than what we have here. So like,
Except for it's outside of our jurisdiction, unless it's more the tree clearing, and then it encroaches, and then it's like, you know, just something
lose
that
your
it's
shading.
unnecessary. Yeah, it's if the board is comfortable with it, this is what the planning board has
Yeah.
approved. Steve is not seeing any objection. I'm just bringing it to the board's attention that there could have been a more creative way to prevent that flow, the sheet flow, like you're saying, off of that small portion of the roadway. It's not like you're catching a ton.
right. I mean, it's several hundred feet from here. You know, this is 180 feet like there, so it's it's about 250 feet roughly that it's capturing from here. So
Wait, go back
this
to one more
portion,
time.
so this is about it's probably capturing almost 200 feet up the road this way, just based on the scaling of the plan. So it doesn't look like much because of the scale of it, but it
Okay,
is a decent.
Show us from where to where that it's catching,
So,
just lightly.
yeah, it's roughly getting like this area in here, so it's kind of like a,
But this is the paved portion.
Well, it's
This is not paved.
correct, but it's
So
still tributary to it. And again, it was there and it was requested as a measure of protection
It
of the
was not,
wetland.
we did not see it.
Right, but
Fine.
it was presented at the planning board meeting, and this was something that Bill specifically requested on his review of the stormwater, was to have
So
us
the road width is how much?
It's a 15-foot,
Okay,
Gravel.
15, and you're saying 15 by 200, right? 3,000 square feet. But you don't have any info on that basin, right? On here, any calculations?
I don't have it on the
Okay.
plan. On the plan.
Okay, on any of these?
It's not on the
Okay.
plan, no. But I think ultimately, like I said, it's gonna be there, it's gonna help more than anything. Even though it is disturbance, it's there to help, it's there to protect that wetland from runoff coming down there, because we don't wanna have that continued flow in that swale. You know, we have check dams, but at the same time, we don't wanna have that prolonged flow there. So what we're doing is we're basically directing it off the side of the road, following the contour in a linear type manner, and that's allowing it to infiltrate into the ground here. So we're basically just spreading it out along the contour of the slope. We're taking it and allowing it to go across the hill and basically just dissipate and go into the ground, rather than having it rushing down towards that crossing. That's what we don't want to have happen. We want to keep that area, this area, as small as possible.
Well, this is the wetland area, is it between here and here?
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, these green
So-
lines are. I think it's about 130 feet from side to side here. So we believe that this is the best and ideal design that we could come up with to protect the wetland resource areas and to comply with the stormwater management requirements and the planning board's review comments as well.
So, this bill you keep referring to as conduit?
Yeah, he keeps using
Correct.
that as an excuse that it's a huge basin within our 50, within our 100 to 50.
Again, I think you're looking at it the
Well-
wrong way. I understand where you're coming from in the disturbance aspect. However, it's there to protect the wetlands ultimately.
It
and
could have
that's-
been half the size and it could have run along.
I don't agree with you. The numbers needed it to be that big, and we.
I don't have the numbers. I didn't memorize
Well, I did the
them,
number
so.
calculations, and I can tell you that it's the size it needs to
And
be.
you decided to put it in the resource, in the buffer.
Right, that's where Bill wanted us to put it, was in the valley, so that's where we had placed it.
So you were suggesting, instead of doing that, having smaller swales along
That's
the
not,
way?
that's not
Is that
really
what you
gonna
were saying?
accomplish much, unfortunately.
I was suggesting
Originally?
to do something that's outside. To catch the majority of this
Oh.
that's outside our jurisdiction.
So a pond out here would be much more, if were possible.
He's
be much
designing it,
more-
he's saying that he did.
I've done
What
the
Bill is-
stormwater calculations, and this is the size that we needed these two basins to be in order to match our peak rates of design flow. So this is what it has to be in terms of making this work, and this is something that we were asked to do, so we've complied with that. And we believe that this is the best approach and the most ideal way to address the stormwater from the access driveway here, in terms of protecting the resource area and complying with stormwater management policy.
So you're right on the edge of the 50, right?
Correct.
Isn't that correct?
Right, we're at,
So,
It was just a surprise that we didn't see this whole time.
Well, I probably didn't realize they needed it,
when
and
you
I think
say,
we need
when
it.
you
I
say we
mean,
didn't see it, you mean?
it was
we-
not,
Conservation Commission.
it was
did
not
see
on the plans last
Well, you should
time,
have saw
Yeah.
it. Planning
because
board.
But
Did we?
we-
Yeah, but the buffers weren't.
Show them that
Show 'em.
planning board.
And I had my planning board hat on, not my Concom
Completely
hat.
different
So,
person.
yeah, I saw it maybe, but I don't know who that person was that night.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't color coded.
Um, uh, that being said, I think it needs to be there. If we don't want that there, then we should just take the whole road out. Just access by
I'm just saying
helicopter.
that's my opinion, and I can state my opinion, and that's the end of it. I think it's a surprise. I think that additional disturbance within the 100 when the project is huge. That's all. Any more
And
comments?
tell me again why, from your calculations and vast volume of experience, this was the place for that
So-
to be?
yeah, the further we move this up the hill, the less effective it becomes in terms of capturing stormwater. So this wetland system here is what our design point of analysis was. This wetland system flows to the south and eventually over here under West Street to the north. So by positioning that basin further down, you're actually capturing more, and using this storage volume here, you're actually able to mitigate those runoff rates more effectively because you're capturing more of this gravel surface here. Whereas if we move it up, then it no longer becomes as effective, and then that makes this a problem for us to meet our stormwater. So this was the ideal location to maximize the effectiveness of that basin. So that's the reasoning for why it's there and the shape of it and things. It's there to protect the wetlands, like I've said.
Any more
Sounds
questions?
plausible. Plausible.
Any more questions?
I do not.
This is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Steve?
I thought he was waiting.
Hmm?
I thought he was signaling, but
No, he just says no. Board?
I don't know.
We've got our standard conditions for the order. Anything else that we need to mention as conditions?
Bonding.
Okay, bonding needs to be in place for the crossing and the replication area
Yeah,
before
prior to-
work begins.
So typically, we have a bonding rate, it's the replication, it's in the bylaw.
Mhm.
And then the crossing, just give us an estimate of what that would be.
Construction
For
costs.
the construction, if you do two separate bonds, then the replication takes, at least 2 years, so that might take a little longer to recuperate it. But once you have the crossing in place, the commission can go out, we can go out and look at that, and then get that back right away.
So you need to get that submitted to us, the two amounts, and then we'll vote on it, then you can get your bonds, then you can get your Steve to go out and inspect everything once it's installed. That's a condition though, isn't it?
What's that?
Typically, isn't it a condition in our special conditions if there's any bonding?
Yeah, we'll put it in there.
Okay.
Ready for it.
Yep.
Make a motion to issue an order of conditions, 170 West Street, Douglas Renewables, subject to the
Oh.
standard conditions and the other items.
Yeah. Well,
we
I'll
just
hold that
mentioned.
motion and you can motion to close the public hearing.
I'll hold that motion.
But I do have Robert's rules, so I think we can do them combo, but
I will.
go
Sometimes
for
we
it.
can.
Yeah.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Okay, motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then your motion,
Motion to issue an order of conditions for this project, subject to standard conditions and the other items pointed out in this discussion,
bonding in place
bonding in place.
before any activity. Okay, hearing a motion?
Moved. Seconded.
Yeah, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You're all set. We will sign, I don't know if it's typed up, so, it doesn't say typed up, but Maria will let you know. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, running a little behind. Next is notice of intent, 7:45 PM, 26 North Street, Hayward Landing Associates.
Hello again.
Hello.
Okay. I am Nancy Marshall with Ransom Consulting here for Hayward Landing. We were last here on February 4th, and there were two issues that we had discussed. One was that the flood line that they had put on the drawing before was an older flood line, as pointed out by DEP. The second issue was that if there was any fill proposed within the bordering land subject to flooding, performance standards would need to be met. So the engineer went back, looked at, we were able to get our hands on the more recent flood study, which is 2014, which DEP had referenced in their comments. And that is this line in here, the pink one here. The old one is this dash line here. So it did come up the bank a little bit more than it was before, but it's still down below the wall. So we've done that, put the new flood line on. The second thing that we did is the engineers went back and took a look at the riprap that they had put at the toe of the slope before to decide whether or not it was structurally necessary. And because all of the structural support from this wall is internal to the wall with the geonet, the geotextile wrap that's occurred, this, the timber part is just facing, essentially. So we were able to take the riprap off of the toe. So I know that would make you happy. So the original application had said there was 422 square feet of fill placed along the riverfront area as a result of this project. That fill has now been taken away, so there's really no net difference in the riverfront area. We're replacing the same wall in the same place that we had it before. And the flood elevation, as I said, comes up to the bottom of the wall, but not up onto the facing of the wall.
Okay,
So that was it.
awesome. Sounds good. I think those were the only two items
Those were the only two items
we
that we
needed to
had
address, so.
discussed.
Board, do you have any questions? This is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Okay, none. Steve?
No.
Board, what's your pleasure? Close the,
Yeah, we make a motion to close the public hearing.
okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. And we issue the order, or no, we
Order of conditions.
issue the order of conditions.
She can go, she's doing it.
I'm learning.
Yeah. Okay, that's a motion with our standard conditions. And do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'll second. Can't
Thank
say
you.
aye, you don't count. Thank
get a
you.
vote?
Thank you very much for
Thank
making
you.
that revision.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up, 8 PM, public hearing continued, Southeast Main Street, lot number 7, and Bacon Realty LLC.
Good evening. Margaret Bacon, engineer with Civil Site Engineering. And I'm here requesting a permit for wetland crossing at 149 Southeast Main Street.
Okay. Got a number.
Yeah, so actually,
That's
if you want,
exciting.
I highlighted the questions and concerns you had at the last meeting. The address was 1. The number of plants for the crossing. So basically, I put that here at the crossing. I'm using willows and red osier dogwood, and then a lot of those little willows, tubelings. You ever seen those? You just, little saplings you stick right in the slope. So I quantified that. I moved the well outside the 100-foot buffer zone, though you didn't ask me to do that. I realized I could, so I did.
Thank you.
Utility poles, oh, I can't tell you exactly where they're going. I did put on the plan to make sure that they were outside the wetland limits.
What's your revision date? Did you revise the plan for tonight?
3/13/19.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got 2 other plans there, and then,
Where's Southeast Main on here, on the drawing?
Southeast Main, all right, so here's, I think you live right up here on,
Yeah, 1172.
yeah, so here I'm coming from Route 16 down here. Here's Elm Street and Vine right here. It's right before that. You
Okay.
know where they just built those houses across the street, LaRue's big lot up there? Pretty much across the street, right before you get to Vine Street. I think you're right over here
Down, 4 houses down Southeast Main.
on that side. On the left-hand side, driving down Southeast Main Street.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're
You're on the
up
right
here.
then.
I'm
You
on the
got me.
right.
Odd number, yeah.
What's that?
Odd and even.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
and so, and one other comment I got from Steve on Saturday, mentioned, and I do know that the woman next door, the abutter, has been to this meeting and she's been to other meetings regarding, the wetland in front of her house. And so what I did do, and I did add another 18-inch culvert over here. And I did revise the drainage calc, just to kind of, to show you, how these, because if you go out there now, and actually now is obviously the worst case conditions, because everything's flowing, and you have the main, stream, it is an intermittent stream coming through here, and then due to rolled, boulders and rocks, you get these little during high flows, one little, channel that goes over this way and then comes back around, okay? So I did capture that. So based on, for a 100-year storm event, doing the HydroCAD calculations, this is a floorless 6-foot by 3-foot high box culvert. And during the 100-year storm event, just to give you an idea, now this is based on mathematical calculations, that culvert's only gonna be about a foot full. And then with this 18-inch culvert placed about 15 feet next to it, I placed it up about 6 inches higher so that it would only capture the big storm events. Because during the low storm events, I want all the water to flow where it flows now. And so that culvert there, 18-inch culvert, doesn't even flow half full during a 100-year storm event.
Okay. Did you add that to the?
Yes, I do. I've got
319
2 of the plans with me
Oh,
down there.
new.
What's that?
The new plan?
Yes, you want-
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
It's only that one change with the additional pipe, right, on this plan?
On these plans right
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
Yes. So just get rid
Okay.
of those other ones, because I kept the
Here,
313.
have this
All
guy.
right.
Yeah, that's good, what
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah, get rid of
Here, you can
those.
have that one.
Ooh.
Here, this one.
'Cause I did go back out there on Saturday after you called,
Yeah,
so I could see what you were talking about.
well, pretty good.
There you go.
Yes, yeah.
Thanks. Yes, okay. Steve, did you want to take a look at this plan?
Why did you add the culvert rather than making the box larger? I understand they're never going to be full, but
It was kind of like a spread, right?
Right, and I,
What was
It's,
that
it's
question?
gushing right now.
oh,
So
What was
it's
your question?
really,
why it was
Wide.
a separate culvert rather
Well,
than a larger rectangle?
It's hard to see the pictures and stuff, but when you go out there, you have the channel. And the whole area is one big sheet flow, almost like it's flooding the whole area.
Okay.
And so, when you put the road in, and then you just, right now, you probably have a 30-foot wide area where the water's just gonna sheet flow right through. When you have the road in, it's gonna back up to find its way to the middle of the crossing and go through the culvert. So having the pipe on the other side is almost gonna help bleed and keep that
It's a
continuous
secondary.
flow
Yeah.
going through and hopefully prevent it from backing up into the.
yeah, and I'm trying to
No, that makes sense.
mimic also conditions out there, and that culvert will only get activated during the
Well,
the
it would-
spring and the higher flow
A
events.
lot of times with stormwater management and the open ratio of going over a crossing, you know, they do the minimum amount of structure, minimum amount of crossing. Having those kind of extra pipes just allow that natural flow like it's doing now to continue
Okay.
during peak times, which is
Right.
probably 2 or 3 times a year.
Right, and like I said,
During-
I'm still over designed though, based on calculations, so I
Oh, yeah.
should be,
If this was
Plenty.
June or May and it was a snowstorm,
easier to put it in now.
rainstorm, you'd probably have that channel and the
Yeah,
water
one.
just
then later.
probably go right to that
You
culvert
would.
only.
the wood.
So this
I think
crossing here?
the width,
Looks like
Steve
this.
is also concerned with how wide that spread of the water
No, that makes
is.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's like, it's more of a flooding situation than a stream.
In my head, I always picture streams, but then you look at the pictures
Mm.
and you're like, oh no, that's not what
Yeah.
it is. Okay.
Did you finish with all the items that you were
Yeah,
bringing
yeah.
up the plants and the well
The
thing
plants,
and
the well, the utility poles, the address.
Yeah.
And I took some pictures of here, this is what the stream looks like when it comes across out of the street, so it is, you know, it's not wide. It's just that when it goes into that low area, you can see how it starts to spread out a little bit.
And they've got a DP number. Board, any other questions that you can think of?
I think, right?
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns or comments? Nope, no one's here for this stuff. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to issue the order of conditions,
Mhm.
standard order of conditions, and all of these lovely things that have been outlined.
For
Oh, this is
149.
across what?
the
Oh.
address.
The address.
For the,
We have
for
an
the
address
record.
now, 149 Southeast Main Street.
Okay, I hear a good motion.
Second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, is it
Yes.
possible to get the order of conditions?
Not right now.
No, but later this week?
Yeah, maybe, if you're
I think
lucky.
they're ready to be signed.
Yeah, I know Miss
Mark.
Maria got them all set.
She's on vacation,
Right.
so she would need to,
I know Jackie said she'd help out.
oh.
So I guess if you guys sign it, Jackie will make copies for
I
you.
would call Jackie tomorrow.
Yeah, you
Okay.
just,
Okay.
you need to, have someone else notarize it.
Okay.
The clerk or Suzanne.
Okay, all right, I'll touch base with Jackie, but you will sign these later tonight then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, discussion, Tennessee Gas Pipeline. Anyone here for that?
Yes,
Thank you for waiting.
no
Come
problem.
on over. You can come to the table if you'd like.
All right. So I'm Matt Nowak with Tennessee Gas Pipeline, and I've been in discussions with Steve, and also provided a letter, just providing notification of our mowing activities that'll be coming up. Do you guys have a copy of this?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Right, actually, just in case. So I think Steve wanted me to come in when we're here.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
3 years ago, there was a little confusion about the utility exemptions for mowing. So Steve asked me to come in. We're in the process of doing our mowing program. We haven't done anything within the town of Douglas yet. We definitely wanted to make sure that we spoke with you first.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think we'll, sorry, I got Steve Rogers here. I know we've been kind of bouncing around our mowing program. We'd probably do this within the next week or so.
I don't think we're gonna get to it this year now.
Not this year?
I think it won't be till after
They
August
can't do it
1st.
after March 31st.
Yes. Well, we actually have two restrictions, two primary restrictions. One is under the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, we can't do routine vegetation maintenance from April 15th to August 1st. And then we also have our vegetation management plan with the Natural Heritage Program. And that provides further restrictions as far as when we can do our mowing. There is a priority habitat in the town of Douglas with, I forgot which turtle it is now.
It just says best
Box.
management turtle habitats.
Okay.
Yeah. Box turtle.
There's 3 of them,
Yeah.
but they're turtles, yes.
All right. So, yeah,
They
so
don't
there's,
tell you which ones, so you don't go grab them.
okay, yeah, there's, we're just, so, yeah, so anyways,
Technically terrapins.
Oh, interesting. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
so, rather than mowing during their open season there, we either do it in before or afterwards, and so if it looks like we're not gonna get to it this year, then we would end up doing it after
November 1st.
November 1st. Well,
Yeah, we'll do it this year, but in the fall.
yeah, so it'd be after November 1st. So,
If you don't make it by,
They have to do it by the end of this month.
yeah, we'd have to do, if we don't do it by the end of, if we choose to do it during that restricted time frame, we'd have to get a biologist out there, and it's really, it doesn't make any sense to hire a biologist to go and do turtle sweeps and when you can just wait a few months and just do it when they're in their dormant season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we would end up doing.
Okay. And Steve, just for the board's overview of the new members, this does not fall under the Wetlands Protection Act as an activity, it's exempt, but you're saying, in the past, we've somewhat regulated it under our local bylaw.
It all depends on what kind of activity you're actually doing. You know, we like to have them come in and go over the best management practices if they're going through resource areas and wetlands, if they're driving through them.
Yeah.
With the matting and stuff.
We'd like to know what kind of activities and how they're doing that.
So it would be tractors with rotary mounted mowers on it. It'd be typical mowing, probably 4 to 6 inches. Because the reason that we do it is for a couple of reasons. One is if we ever have to get in there to do any kind of maintenance on the pipe itself, that we're able to get in there. Another issue is if trees start growing within the right-of-way, the roots will actually start getting into the coating on the pipeline, and that it gives the potential for rust on the pipeline and corrosion. So what we do is we keep it in low growth, herbaceous vegetation, low growth woody vegetation is fine as well. So we come through every 3 years. And
Okay.
So the maintenance of the pipeline, but if you're, I mean, the maintenance of the vegetation, if you're digging and doing activity for the pipeline, you typically file.
well, if there's, it depends on what if it's maintenance on the pipeline, it would still be exempt, but we would go through our normal process and provide notification in advance. And if you wish for us to come in, we'd be more than happy to do that as well.
We can talk about that, because usually when it was a mobile pipe, Exxon pipeline, they usually typically filed for any, when they're digging up the pipe or any activity within the jurisdiction of the commission.
Okay.
Yeah, did we ever get town council's opinion on that as far as exempt activities for utilities?
It could have been in the past, but, I
I'd probably refresh that,
have to.
because I think, as far as being a utility, first you have to protect us, our
Yes.
town. So, I'm all for the maintenance to keeping that tip-top shape. Will you be able to provide Steve with kind of your best management practices that you're gonna be using, like what you just told us? 'Cause
Yeah,
I saw
I
this
could do that
kind
as
of
well.
informal email, but could you just kind of highlight, email him, this is what we're gonna do, this is the time frame, we're gonna do this to the shrubs, or,
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
everything that you're telling us now.
Yeah, I can do that.
And I think that's good.
Oh, yeah.
They need it. They
No,
need to
oh,
do it. So.
No, and it sounds, I actually,
Yeah, they will.
my only argument was gonna say, gosh, it's pretty wet right now, maybe you wanna do it in November, so I'm glad to hear that you're doing it in
Yeah,
November anyway.
Yeah, and that's why that's why I want to touch base, Steve, because we'll slow down. Obviously, the ideal time to do it is when the ground's frozen, and then we
Right.
always hit this spring melt, which makes things a little more difficult, because if there's any rutting, then we stop work. If we create any ruts, we're going to repair those ruts,
Yep.
because we don't want rutting on our right-of-way any more than you guys do.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right, well,
I'm good.
good luck for weather in November.
So. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Steve, you're not looking for any kind of motion, right?
No.
Or consensus? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Deer Crossing Development LLC, 64 Woodland Road, discussion of minor plan change.
Hey.
Come on over. Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Dave Marquardt from JD Marquardt's. Jack Nealon's here representing Deer Crossing Development. We're talking about Lot 30B, house number 64. We were before the board, received an order back in April of 18. For this discussion tonight, we've had previous discussions with Steve. We have a certified abutters list, and we've notified the 3 abutters by certified mail that we're coming this evening to talk about possibly making a minor change in some sort of position of houses and driveways. This is the lot that we're talking about in purple. Here, Old Farm Road intersection is here. House is way in the back. Green is here. 25, 50, 100-foot buffer. Long driveway, side load left, system in the front, well way in the back, with a shed. What we're looking to do,
Could you tell us the impacts for the 100 to 50 for buffer zone disturbance on that one? Do you have the totals?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I do not. This was the one that was approved back in
Yeah,
April.
I was just looking for a comparison, because you're stating in your letter that
Yep,
it's,
so-
less impervious surface.
We are less impervious. So the limit of work, which is the blue line, has not changed. This is our limit of work. This is installed, wattles and silt fence. It's been cleared, stumps are gone, rocks have been removed, and the rest of it's just sort of sitting idle. So we're not changing the limit of work. Limit of work remains the same through the blue line. What we're looking to do is turn the house, and this is kind of an overlay of both together. This is the original house in orange, down in the back. Driveway that was previously approved here. System that was previously approved here. What we're looking to do is take this house, move it forward and flip it. So this would take this shape here. In a sense, we've moved an average of 18 feet forward. And previously, we were 51 feet off the wetland. We remain 15 feet off the wetland. This distance here is 113 feet. We're still inside the buffer zone because of this isolated wetland on the right-hand side. We're eliminating this driveway, shortening up the driveway by 98 feet to that location there. Taking the system from right in front of the house, moving it left, mostly out of the buffer zone. It was a pump system before, and it remains a pump system before as well. Shed remains here. Limit of work previously was a split rail fence, meaning the demarcation of like a PIB was in the back of the lot, and now we're proposing rocks about halfway up.
You still have the shed?
Still have the shed.
The shed's behind the rocks then?
Behind the rocks, exactly. Yep. So, impervious-wise, we're about 616 feet less with impervious, which is a reduction of almost 13%.
We don't know it's a reduction, because we don't have the other numbers.
Well, it's just
Do
impervious.
you have the other numbers compared to?
Well, I produced the previous impervious with the house and driveway, and just doing a comparison of the new house and driveway, we're 616 less.
Okay, so the rocks are supposed to be the limit of disturbance.
Yep.
So we need to is there an option to relocate that shed?
Yes.
Because you don't want to do the split rail fence
Correct.
like we had proposed.
Correct. We thought it would look better with the rocks moving it up. So we could move that shed to here.
Yep.
So board, I guess we have to determine if this is minor plan change with what's been previously approved. So what we have to think about is the jurisdictional activities and if they're equal to or greater than what's the active order is. They're already doing activities on the site. They've disturbed a lot of, the site at this point. So we kind of have to make a judgment on, is this plan equal to or better than the previously approved plan?
Oh no, I think this one's a lot better than the previous plan.
How does that one differ from that one? They both have the same orientation of the house.
This is the new plan. This plan here just shows both.
It's
The old
getting
and the
late.
new.
It's okay. It's
So
okay.
that's the official plan that you folks have in your file. So if you
No.
did it,
Yeah, that's not the official plan. This is the new proposed.
that's a new plan.
This was the
This
is-
official one
Exactly.
right here.
You have two copies
Mike,
of this
you-
one in your file.
Yeah, we don't have the little one.
So you can kind of see a
Let's
comparison.
let's go to the backyard.
Certainly, let's talk about the backyard. So this house here has this extensive amount of grading in the backyard. So with the new house, we have a walkout in the back and less grading. So this portion is flat, and we have this portion only in the back, just like this one had. So we're moving it forward, turned it, and we have a flatter backyard and a walkout and less grading inside the 25 to 50-foot buffer.
Could we go back to the grading for 1 second of the new plan?
Yep.
So why is there some grading back there on this portion right here?
Right.
What's that for?
Just to catch grade. The walkout is, this was a 7.5-foot foundation. It's now 8.5-foot foundation, and
Mhm.
this portion is a walkout from 71 to 70. Is 1%, probably a 1.5% grade in the backyard. And then right at the edge of the wets is an elevation of 566. So we have 2 contour lines.
Steve,
Yep.
what is your opinion on this?
Well, typically minor plan changes are given for minor activities that are being changed. They're giving the amount of reduction they're proposing. They are listening the impacts, it looks like, compared to the original plan.
Okay, I'm trying to look for the, I think that's a new plan. February, no, that's an old plan.
Should have a revised of 31618. That's what the road is based on.
Where'd it go? Can't even find that.
That's the old one.
How about it might have a date or something?
Yes, it does. It's over here. 2006.
Okay. And what was the number?
So,
What was the decrease in impervious? That's just the 98 feet of the
Okay.
driveway?
12.9%.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the new one.
So I'm just looking for why are we putting the rocks here in lieu of the split rail and just move this as the limit of work? I'm
We're
just trying to
going
see what's your need for this.
Guess we're going down to, existing grade is 66.
Is that for your shed though?
No, we can move the shed to here, just above the rocks. What we're trying to do is just create somewhat of a backyard that's there. This, part of this may be already constructed, this back. in
Oh,
the
okay.
back. So, trying to do a balance and then you can see that we have a lot of voids in here. And 25 to 50 that previously were probably a little bit disturbed, and now we're more on grade. Back of this house is all on grade.
so the orientation of the house has changed. So its location has kind of
The driveway's not short.
changed. And the location of the shed has changed.
Yep, the house is further away from the wetland. The driveway is shorter.
I think our only
Is that
sticking
minor?
point
That's what I'm saying.
is the so this is where his buffer is coming from. Well, you've got another one in the backyard, right? We've got one right here, a line right here.
Right.
Do you know for
Yes.
sure if it's already been graded to the 24 from that flag?
Some of
AB
it.
31?
Some of it, not all of it, no.
Well, we're redesigning the plan. So because we don't really want, I mean, you're planning to put these rocks in here, but if you've already disturbed beyond the
Would you like me to
rocks.
flatten this out? I need to go to there because it's already disturbed. I can move these contours up here a little bit, and I was, and spread the contour out a little bit,
Yeah.
and lessen it up a little bit.
I mean, if it's, so if it's already disturbed, what are you doing back there? So you've got the rocks as, you're supposed to be the signaling not to go any closer to the
Correct.
wetland,
Correct.
but now you've already
So once
done
it-
some
Yeah, but,
disturbance
yeah, I
there.
guess we'd do that disturbance, move the shed up,
Mm-hmm.
flatten the slope out, move this up to here, move this up to here,
Mm-hmm.
put the rocks in,
Mm-hmm.
grade it, and when we seed it, and
So what would you say the rocks are gonna be at for, a grade elevation? Approximately, or non-approximately? I mean, we don't want
Or
it
exactly.
disturbing it on the other side of the rocks.
I would.
You love the plan
bench-
because of the driveway. That's like a big thing. You're
Probably,
reducing-
we could probably make that around the 68 contour. 68 contour would be the rocks.
Okay,
So keep the 66, move the 68 to the rocks,
Yep.
70 halfway between there and the house.
yep, yeah.
And then
I mean, I think that would be less, it would be even better, and then you get the shed.
Out of there, and you
Yeah.
have the slope, and theoretically the
And this is
homeowner's
gonna
not
be
mowing
6
past the rocks.
This is gonna be 568 on this spot, and then he's gonna do 570 here.
Nice.
So just bring that up a bit, a little bit.
Will it be steeper or less steep?
Less
To the-
We're just backing off a little bit on this limit of work that was previously approved, which is at 24. And they've wanted these hills, but this has been a little bit graded already, he's telling me, so. They're just gonna shift this grading to here. I think it's a pretty big deal with the driveway. If anything was improved, it's 98 feet times 18.
So,
Board?
are you saying it's too much of a change to be considered a minor change?
Well, that's what we need to
In which case?
discuss. So they're going split rail fence to the proposed rock wall, reducing the driveway by 98 feet, reducing the impervious by 12.9%, and moving the shed, which was previously a lot closer. They're moving it to probably the 80.
And they're reorienting the house,
Reorient,
which
yeah.
doesn't actually get you any further away, but has less of the square footage as close.
Mm-hmm. Well, the driveway here.
And you're
A
moving
lot
the
of positive aspects, but it's not.
moving
It's a
the
pretty big change.
the septic out.
Mm-hmm. Just, yeah, about halfway.
Yep.
Out of the 50 to 100, yeah, 50 to 100. Okay, so board, do we have any other comments on this? We agree that it's a better orientation and plan for grading.
Shorter driveway. Yet another pen that doesn't work, right?
I know. And I'm just writing kind of what the modifications are, just so that we can have it for the record, because we'll make it a formal vote. Mm-hmm. And you did notify the abutters?
Yep, Steve
Okay.
has the green cards.
Anyone in the audience here to talk about this discussion item? No. Okay. Okay, so,
Should move.
Just because we're making this a little bit tricky when Steve goes out there. We're definitely going to want a full as-built on this. Steve, any comments? No? Did I already ask you?
So I'm gonna produce a new plan that makes those changes.
Okay.
You get those over to Maria.
Okay. Nothing?
No, I mean, I was trying to find the policy for minor plan changes.
Couldn't find it.
Take another look. Just make sure you're doing it properly.
I think that, make sure we're doing it properly. Would you like to go look?
Give me a couple minutes.
Okay, alright. Just wanna be proper.
So you're using 2 blue pins, why?
Because
Because they don't keep up with her writing pace.
Well,
They're a bit slow.
they'll keep up with anybody's. These pens are like almost all exhausted for some reason.
They work.
They never get thrown out. They just keep coming back the next meeting.
I mean, I suppose I'm not complaining because I always bring my own pen.
Would you like us to step aside for a couple of minutes and let someone else come
yeah,
in?
we'll probably do that. That would be great. Thank you. Number 3, request for tree removal, 55 West Street.
56. Or is it 55?
It's 55. 56? It is 56?
56 West, yeah.
Oh. Interesting.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mine's crossed out and it says 56.
Oh, it does?
So you're taking them down on your neighbor's lot?
No.
So,
No, my name's Rob Podolak, by the way.
okay.
And Cliff Van Reed is building a house for us on
Mhm.
56 West Street. And we were going to be further ahead, but because we didn't get the foundation in before it got cold, it got delayed. But in the interim, we had a tree fall on the spot where the house would have been being built. And if it was in the process of being built or going to be done, it would have done a lot of damage,
Mhm.
or it could have hurt somebody. So it got me thinking that since there's a lot of trees around us, several of which are dead or dying, I was concerned with that happening down the
Mhm.
road. And I'm new to this whole wetlands thing because some of the property is on wetlands. So I didn't know what kind of restrictions we have. And so I wanted to come before the commission to ask that. I guess Cliff spoke with Mr. Zisk about my concerns, so I was directed to put some yellow caution tape around the trees that I'm most concerned with currently. So
Mhm.
that's what I did, and I
Mhm.
believe Mr. Zisk,
He has some pictures. He's just going to grab us some.
he was gonna swing by and take a look.
I think these go with that too.
Okay. Yeah, he did take some pictures. What do you have there? Anything?
I guess these are the plans. I have them bling, so I wasn't sure.
We like plans.
Yeah, I don't have a nice cardboard backing for it, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Are the trees that you're looking to remove are?
They're not identified on this.
Okay.
But basically, here's the driveway and this is the construction area. And the ones I'm concerned with are mostly on this end. The ones over here seem pretty young, not too bad. There's a couple here that seem dead or dying. I'm not a tree expert, but there's one tree. The tree that happened to fall is on my neighbor's property, actually, Mr. Montminy, Arthur Montminy. And it's like it's a split trunk, and so one of the trees from that trunk fell.
Okay.
And so now I'm worried about the other one falling as well. He came down and met with us last week. I spoke with him about it, and he was okay with me tying off that tree as well for Mr. Zisk to see. And if it came down to it, or when I ever get permission to do it, he's okay with me taking it down, but I would check with him first, obviously. But anyways, I just wanted to let you know that that tree was on his property.
So,
Show us the
if your
buffers.
trees are conveniently placed here, then they're out of our jurisdiction. This is our 50 and this is our 100. this dotted orange line. I believe, I can't find the numbers, but I was
Well,
like
these are the
50 and
wetlands
100.
flags.
Yep. And then
So
if
you've got 50.
and 100.
Correct.
So if the trees are conveniently in this little triangle, then they're out of our jurisdiction.
I don't think they are. I think they're over here, right? On the
Um,
side, on the,
they're
as you go
outside,
into the,
they're outside the sock, I guess, so I don't know if that makes a difference.
It does.
I'm out of my depth with this, so.
so this is 100 right here.
Once you get past 100, they're out
This
of our
is 50.
jurisdiction. Anything within 100 is.
Thank you.
There's a couple of them, yeah.
So
This is
anything
more-
that's,
You're kind of
you
lengthy.
see this orange line right
Did
here?
you read
Yes.
it? What is
Anything
it?
that's
Guys,
this
print
way
it up.
of this line is in our
This is more
jurisdiction. and you have to
In
tell
the
us about it.
jurisdiction.
Yep.
Changes where it's
Because
in
we
the
get,
review.
so this is the green bits of
We just wanna make
wetlands.
sure that this one here, they
This
don't
is
have
a
to
50 foot
notify.
from the
You don't
wetlands,
have to
and this is a
place
100
an
foot
ad.
from the wetlands.
Okay.
This is amending.
Anything
corner.
within 100, you have to
Like
come
an
to us
amendment?
for.
Oh, okay.
And then we
Can you bring up
are
his trees?
more stringent with anything within 50 than we are within 100, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
So the further you get this way, the fussier we are.
Yeah, and that's less of a concern.
Okay.
It's more of a concern here in this end.
Mm-hmm.
And then that one tree here, there's a couple out in front there, but this I'm not too worried about. I'm not doing it for aesthetic reasons, man, you know, it's, I just, there's like these strange vines that seem to grow around those trees and just strangle them, and I
The
don't know what
bittersweet.
that is.
It's
Mhm.
bittersweet. It's very common. It's invasive.
Oh, is that what it is?
So here's a,
You can hand pull it when you move in.
it's kind of hard to see the
You
tree.
can
The
hand pull
vine
it,
thing?
yeah.
Mhm.
That's
I
what
think
they
I've been
do,
learning a
right?
lot with this project.
You're gonna want to.
So I believe there's a few trees, a couple here on the left.
Mhm.
One here.
So is that one of the flags? Okay.
One here, one here. This is on the left-hand side. These are those two look like. A little closer up. And as you come down, there's right along the borders, one here, I think one right here.
Is this? Are we looking at the driveway?
Yeah, that's the driveway right here.
Thank you.
And I'm not interested in doing like everything all at once either, because this could, I was trying to pick something that over time that I'd be concerned with, so if there's something like a staggered process or something, I'll do the worst ones first.
The only thing is if you're doing them yourself, you might want to do it that way. If you're having somebody do it, you want to have them do them at once because it's gonna save you money and effort.
True.
So a
You're
lot of these
hiring
are right on
somebody
the
to
border.
come
So
in.
here's the erosion control, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. A couple small ones in the back.
Oh, so those are past.
Really, a couple small ones here. They all seemed pretty unhealthy trees.
You know how many trees in all?
I think it's gotta be a dozen.
So I was thinking about a dozen.
You have these here, which are right on
They all look pretty.
the other side of the erosion control. Well, probably about 10 of them are right on the erosion control. There's a couple of them in the entrance.
So,
Here's a couple
They're all
here.
small. I mean, they're all really
and would you be?
bushes.
You wouldn't be against letting some of that, the flora grow back in, as long as you didn't have something that was endangering your house, right? I mean, you're not looking to put a lawn in here. You just.
No, I guess
Kinda.
that's all set with the plan, yeah, I'm not
It's
looking to.
yes.
Yeah, it's just, I just don't want them falling on the house.
Right. So you'd be okay if that kind of grows back in with whatever other trees come in, as long as they're not.
Yeah, I was talking with Cliff, and he was telling me sometimes in his experience, as long as it's cut down, they leave the stump. I don't know if
Yes.
that's what you mean, but
That's well, I mean that, and also I like to hear that. I like that little reassurance that you're not trying to make the lawn bigger.
no. I've had big lawn before, I don't want to do that again.
Okay, great.
So how many total trees?
We're looking at 12.
Okay.
Yeah, at least, well, I would say 12 to 15. I didn't count
And a
them.
majority of them are dead or dying.
Yeah.
In my expert opinion, yeah.
Well, if they keep falling down, something's happening with that. Do we see the area where they're in yet?
We're here and here. It's-
Well, how many are over the erosion control line that's out there?
Let's see, 1, 2,
I'm more concerned on the, as you're looking from the street on the left side.
This is, yes, you got probably 1 here, 2, 3, 3 down here, that's 6. And then you got a couple over here, 7, 8, 9, 10. Probably
This is on the right side.
This is on the right side as you
I'm
come
not
in.
as concerned with that. This is inside. So this is outside. I believe this is outside. This is the 50. This is the 100.
Yeah, this is outside.
So the whole entire, and then this is outside too.
Right.
So this side is out of our jurisdiction. Anything on that side.
And for the most part,
Okay.
that's the neighbor's property there.
Oh,
There's-
okay.
There's just one.
All right. There's a property line right there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the rest is.
It's, yeah, so that one big one there, that half of it fell, then there's a few here. There's some back here, and I think there's a couple in the front.
Yeah. Okay. Steve, you took a look at those, right?
Yeah, I didn't have an issue with any of them.
Okay.
I mean, I can understand why they want to.
Anything unnecessary coming down?
What's that?
Any unnecessary coming down?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
Doesn't seem too healthy, in my opinion.
Okay. All right, board. Any other comments about this tree removal?
I just have a question.
Oh, sure.
If I'm allowed to take some or all or whatever down, are they supposed to remain on the property, or can I get them out?
No,
Besides
just keep the stumps in
stump?
place.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't mind. I don't know if you can transport wood state to state.
You can't.
But you can?
No, you can't.
What?
You can't take it to Connecticut. I know that.
Okay, so you can't bring them to Connecticut.
But that's not. That's
I
not
would
us.
abide
That's
by the
state of Connecticut.
the state rules about transporting wood. No, we're just gonna keep them. How do you plan on cutting these?
I have no idea. Let's we'll start with talking to Cliff.
So we can condition that with no machinery,
Inside the 50.
yeah, left on this side of the erosion control, parked. So depending on
You mean
how,
like heavy machinery?
yeah,
Chainsaws, okay?
yeah,
Right.
you can do that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
just
we're
don't
not gonna make any
park a
comments
truck
about
there.
that, but yeah, like on this side of the purple. What's already been installed out there, we're not having anything parked, sitting
On the
with hydraulic fluid or, you know.
Oh, that's fine.
Any other conditions? You wanna-
Stumping, no heavy movement, 50.
And only removing the tagged trees.
15 tagged trees. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could do that in a staggered way? I don't
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an informal kind of approval. There's really no time limit on it.
And even moving forward, if there's any kind of guidelines or restrictions, we don't plan to do anything with the land really, but I just don't want to. I just want to know the rules of the game. You know, I don't want to do something that's gonna.
Steve, this has an order of conditions,
It
right?
does, yeah. Why?
Just asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they came in.
Yeah, so this is also going to be kind of adding to the scope of the order, right?
It is.
Just to let you know.
Yes.
There is an active order on this. It's not expired, right?
No, they just got it.
Okay, February. Yeah, I'm fine. So, by consensus, we'll just, make a note for you to no parking of heavy machinery inside the erosion control. Tag trees only. Keep the stumps. Was that anything else? That's it. Okay. Board, you're good? Let's do a motion.
All right. I make a motion to approve the request with the conditions that the trees will be stumped, the stumps will not removed, there is no parking of machinery within the 50-foot buffer zone, and that up to 15 trees, the ones that have, specifically the ones that have been flagged, will be removed.
Yes.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Did you say
And
it
you
was
can let,
actually
ask
56?
Steve,
56
yeah, it's
West.
56.
Thank you very much.
So did we figure out?
So
Your
back
project.
to
Minor
amending,
plan.
come on over. So Steve did print this out for me. The department recognizes it would not be reasonable to require complete refiling of the notice of intent when changes sought in the final order of conditions are relatively minor and will have unchanged or less impact on the interests protected by the act. Modifications undertaken in the course of the project are within the scope of deviations allowed for. There's a verse that's referenced. Thus, the process of amending a final order of conditions is acceptable to the department as long as certain procedural safeguards are employed. This policy does not apply to final orders of conditions which have expired, which theirs did not. Amending a final order of conditions is at the discretion of the body that issued the final order of conditions. There is no provision in the wetland regulations that requires the issuing authority to consider or act upon a request to amend a final order of conditions. The department recommends that in processing an amendment to the final order of conditions, the most simple changes such as correcting obvious mistakes such as citing a wrong file number or typographical errors be accomplished by correction of the order with a copy sent to the department. In other cases, the department recommends that the following procedures be used. So the one procedure that they do recommend is in either case, so an amended final order or a amendment of a superseding order, a narrative description of what changes have been proposed and any pertinent plans showing the changes are to be sent to the department's regional office. Of course, the request for an amendment of superseding is to be made in writing to Mass DEP regional office. A written copy should also be forwarded to the commission. The other thing is that the issuing authority first makes a determination whether the requested change is great enough to warrant the filing of a new notice of intent or whether it is relatively minor in nature and can be considered as an amendment to the original final order of conditions. In making this determination, the issuing authority should consider such factors as whether the purpose of the project has changed, whether the scope of the project has increased, whether the project meets relevant performance standards, and whether the potential for adverse impacts to the protected statutory interest will be increased. So we've already determined that that's not the case here. It's actually reducing it. Relatively minor changes which result in the same or decreased impact on the interest protected by the Act are appropriate for amendments. So if the determination is made that the project proposed or scope has changed substantially, or that the interests are not protected, then they should not issue the amendment, should require filing. Okay, here's something that it says that I think that we should follow. If the commission determines that a new notice of intent is not necessary, the commission should publish newspaper notice in the same general manner as outlined in the Act for new notices of intent and as required by the open meeting law, to inform the public that the request for amendment to the order of conditions will be considered by the commission at the public hearing. In addition, the applicant must follow the requirements of butter notification as if filing a notice of intent as described in the Act. So I think because we're moving around everything, would you object to notifying and being on the April 1st meeting
Notify the
in the
abutters?
newspaper? As far as an article in the newspaper, because that is a procedural thing. I know you've already notified the abutters, which I would
Seems a bit
consider.
overkill to keep notifying the abutters to come to me.
Well, this is actually the Wetlands Program Policy
Right.
85-4 amended orders.
Right, right.
I don't want you to end up in an appeal and have the house in there and have it be troublesome for you.
Right.
So I'm reading specifically, they're saying to publish the newspaper notice. I think the board's pretty happy with the improvements made to the lot. I think we
Right.
just need to follow the procedure, and it would be just a couple more weeks to wait. But this is what the department recommends in processing the amendment. It will save you from filing a new notice of intent, where some boards may require that.
So the April meeting would be a similar presentation again of the,
I think we would have the new plan, and it would be a very short meeting.
okay.
I think it would be the newspaper ad. I'll read the ad. You've already notified the abutters that you're coming here to the board for a change, a plan change, and I think that was, you halfway got there.
So do we have to notify abutters again?
No. I think the one notification. Steve, because did you put a date of this meeting?
We did the Douglas standard
Next
notification
scheduling.
form.
Yeah.
Change from a notice of intent to plan.
So I think we could probably just, because we didn't really open anything, we could continue it as, on the agenda. I think that would still count as, if any abutter was here, they could know, and it's public knowledge that. I think I could still consider, if the board agrees, the abutter notification that was for today. I think it was today. Did it have a date? I didn't
I
really
don't know what you
see.
sent to, is this what your notification is?
It is, that's
this
what I
letter?
sent. No, a couple pages in. The standard notification that I have received a call from her.
What's that?
That's
received
why
a
I would
call.
like to
Yeah,
follow
we
the
got a call. I got
procedural.
And there was a plan left at Maria's desk for her.
Yeah, so there was a call, one of the abutters called, yeah, there's no date on the,
Okay, perfect. Then that's fine. There's no date, so they would need to call and, yeah.
So I guess Tim's not here, Tim Nealon's not here tonight, he got called away. So I guess we'll talk with him tomorrow, more than likely we'll pursue it.
Yeah,
I don't know if Tim will follow through with it.
okay.
We'll probably do the ad. I would recommend to Tim that we do the ad, but I can't say for sure whether Tim would follow through with this amendment, if you call it an amendment. Depending on how, I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. I would just approach this cautiously and to cover all of our bases for everyone. This is.
So we'll be in touch
amending.
with Maria
Yeah.
about putting the ad together, and the notification to the abutters is okay. So it's just the, all right.
And you can put it in any newspaper. You don't need to.
Whatever one Maria
Yeah.
will rely on
Okay.
Maria, that's,
Okay.
yep, she tells us when and which paper, so it's probably the Telegram.
Okay. All right. So I think we should follow their guidelines on this. Did you want to take a copy or
Nope.
the front page? Okay. All right.
Does that mean this would come up again next meeting?
Yeah, I think it would be best if we followed their procedure, which is to publish an article in the newspaper, a notice. I read the notice. He's already notified all of the abutters, which is another thing that they recommend in the.
so I'll give you a time, if you don't want it. Then,
Sure.
you can get it later, so 7:45 on the 1st.
7:45 on the 1st. Super. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
7 what, did you say?
45.
That was Deer Crossing, right?
So we have people here for King's Campground.
Okay.
They're not on the agenda, but I asked them to come in.
Do you happen to have any plans printed out?
No.
No, I don't.
You can email that one to you, the small plan.
Yeah, I can, let me see if I can print out something for you real quick.
Come on, have a seat. Tell us the story.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
And your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Darius Matuzik. I live in North Kingstown, Rhode Island, 40 North Quidness, and it's regarding 24 Hope Road, King's Family Campground,
Sutton, Mass.
Sutton, Mass.
Okay. So you guys are doing some activity on the Sutton side, right? You got permitted.
Yes. Basically, I purchased the property 2 years ago. It's gonna be the third year, and we were under constant order through DEP to do a Title V to the whole property.
Okay.
So we started doing it. We almost done with it. And basically, Brendan from Sutton done some inspections because of the lake and everything else, and he knows this, that. He thought it was a stream. I thought it was a road runoff. That's what it looks like to me. It's got the catch base on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
It goes, I say maybe a mile. Actually, it's got two of them. And basically, the water's coming, getting caught in there, comes across the street. I say maybe 1.5 foot pipe, goes through the property, goes further down, does the same exactly thing, and comes through the property. So one, it's on the Sutton side, which is all right, I guess. They call the trench or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
We in here regarding the first one, which is on Douglas side.
Okay. So the drainage swale.
Yes.
So you did some activity in the drainage swale?
Basically, we deepened there. I'm not gonna lie to you. About a year ago, I didn't know that I couldn't do it because it was overflowed and was washing all the roads. I have 2 wells in there, pump house, and basically nobody probably maintained for maybe 10, 15 years.
Okay. Do you know of any flowage easement that you have or going through the property in that location?
What do you mean by that?
Something in your deed that says that you're receiving that water from the culvert, from the roadway?
Basically, it doesn't show any streams, nothing. It doesn't show
All
paving.
wetlands
All wetlands on the whole entire property. I went back to when they were doing all the research before I bought the property, was nothing about the wetlands or any streams, anything back there.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew it was there because we had some other issues, and that's why I went to see if it's a stream or what.
Mm-hmm.
So I know basically all that water was coming. It dries out in the summertime.
Yeah, so you did the activity during the dry period, right?
Yeah, I done the activity during the dry period, and right now, basically, I'm putting leach field, which is 110 feet by 126 feet. I'm almost done with it. I'm under the constant order, so I don't really have much choice. I have to get it done by the end of April. And some of the stuff, which is not sewer dirt or anything like that, I put it right on the beach, on the Sutton side, and I couldn't fit it everything because I have to reuse that for the leach field. So I did put it, basically was a site in that area where I put it right now, the dirt. Was a previous site. DEP made somebody else before I purchased downsize from 160 sites to 111. And just because we have the wells in there, we cannot use that as a site anymore because of the wells, how far we have to keep the trailers.
Okay, so where'd you put the material that you took out of the ditch?
On this picture, you actually see it right over here. All right. So now you have Douglas site. Area of right over
Dredging
here.
of stream, you side.
But which ditch are you asking about? You asking
The Douglas side.
All right, right over here.
Here, could you give
All
her
right,
that?
so
thing?
you got a slope in here. I can't tell you percentage-wise what's the slope right now, even past the ditch, if because it's snowing there right now. If the slope is 5%, 10%, I can't tell you. This is my pump house right over here. This was previous site, and I put the dirt right over here below this trench.
So you've cleared trees.
The trees, I cleared the trees. I have about 20 something more trees. I didn't clear the trees to put the dirt in there. The trees were cut because they were dead.
Okay, where'd the wood go? Did
The
you
wood,
use it?
the tree company took some, and some of it stood on the property.
Okay. And then, did you fill a wetland over here?
I didn't know there was a wetland. That basically everything was getting like dumped in there for years, like yes, leaves and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like a wetland. I mean, I don't know what you consider as a wetlands.
Mhm.
I didn't find nothing on the property, on the maps and everything else that says that I have a wetlands in there. But this trailer's in here, I've been in there forever.
Mm-hmm.
And this old like bridge over that
Yep.
trench,
Mm-hmm.
and they were putting stuff in their leaves. I did put some dirt in there too, I'm not gonna lie to you. Not as much as over here. This dirt's coming back. All the trees I cut in there, I will replant the trees because I can't use this area because I have a pump house in here with the 2 wells.
Mm-hmm.
So basically I can't put any, I think within 200 feet, I can't put any trailers in there and any sewer system.
Okay.
According to DEP. I do have a map with it. It shows you the area in my office.
Mm-hmm.
So
Where did
basically,
you construct the new septic, and did they pick up this drainage swale on your plans?
basically the new septic system, it's way on the southern side.
Oh, nowhere here?
Yeah, no, it's right over here.
So he was inspecting the new septic?
Basically, he was inspecting where is the leach field because we did have to cut some trees down in the,
So how is, where, I guess I'm trying to orientate. So this is where the culvert is, right?
yeah, exactly.
So we're getting flow. It's going this way or this way?
Now it's going this way, down the hill,
Yeah.
and follows through Sutton's side all the way to the lake. Then it's,
So where is it going when it hits right here? Because I'm
Uh,
assuming that wetland
no.
area is a flow of this.
no,
No?
basically, it does the, it's another little bridge over here, then it's another little bridge over here, makes a turn, goes through Sutton's side, goes right into the lake. Then it's another catch basin right over here, which is coming down the hill too. It does same exactly thing. It comes through the road, main road, follows and connects with this one right over here. I guess this used to be a main road.
I don't know.
Yeah, there used to be a main road.
Used to be a main road,
Back-
and what happened, previous owner, I guess, fought in court
Yeah.
to close that as a private property.
Okay.
So
Used to be
basically,
Michael Court.
this one right over here and another one on the Sutton side, they both connect. I mean, I can come back in here to explain better to you. I mean, I wasn't sure what's gonna happen over here today, what I need. I can bring you the site map with the whole entire septic system. And it's gonna, basically, it's not gonna show you any of the streams. But I can actually draw
So
it for you.
so there was a septic approved, and you went through Sutton Conservation, right?
Yeah.
And nobody saw a drainage ditch on your septic plan as a resource area.
On the septic thing, it's,
Septic's way, septic's not even close to the.
But
I
it's
thought
not-
I thought the tailings, the extra was right next to the drainage ditch.
Well, his tailings from the septic is, yeah.
from,
So you transported it somewhere? Isn't the septic near, somewhat near the ditch?
well,
leach field.
no,
Why?
no.
Yeah, yeah.
We did transport it there.
Oh, you transported the tailings to next to the.
That's the only place I had available to put the loom in there. Basically, this system
Septic's way
is
over here.
humongous.
Yeah. Sounds
Septic's-
humongous.
Septic's over here.
I mean, we
Want
had
the
to.
plan?
Well, no, but you've transported the material
Yes,
to right next
and
to
I
the
was gonna
drainage
transport
ditch.
it back because I'm gonna need it. Basically,
Okay.
what happens, we dig 100 by 120 feet.
Yeah, you needed a place to put it.
I need a place, so
So
I
you
put
thought
it
right
right
next
on
to
the
the
beach,
stream.
right on the beach area.
Yeah, yeah,
I put it right over here. I filled this area right up.
yeah.
Beach area here?
Yes, I didn't have a choice. Then, whatever I had it, I did put it right over here, and it's in here. But all this stuff's getting removed. The trees I didn't cut there because Steve was there. He seen it. That trees wasn't the purpose where we put it. The trees were cut, were dead. I still got maybe another 25 trees that they on your side that I have to put it down because they dead from the caterpillars.
Okay,
But I didn't cut the trees down. I can't make no sites in there or anything like that
right.
because It's
Okay.
impossible.
So I forgot what
So-
you said. I might be getting a little sleepy. Where did you put the material that came out of the ditch?
It's right over here.
So was this like a stockpiling area for you?
Yeah.
That you
Yes,
felt like
and I will
you could
remove
put-
everything.
Okay. Okay.
So basically, everything is gonna come right back out.
Okay.
What are all these little structures?
That's all the trailers.
Trailers.
Yeah.
Trailers
everywhere.
as
King's
in people live in
Campground.
them, or trailers?
It's a
and,
campground.
It's a
so-
campground. It's a seasonal,
It's a
6 months.
People live there.
And they leave them there year round.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're building a septic
Septic.
system.
I'm doing Title V through the whole
Over there.
entire campground.
So you're gonna serve this septic system's gonna serve this whole campground area?
Basically, this septic system is designed to do 10,000 gallons a day. I was able
All
to.
these trailers are gonna,
And they're hooked up to that,
Yes.
yes.
I tried to downsize it because I was able to prove that we only using 3,000 gallons, but DEP didn't want to hear it, so I end up with probably the biggest leach field in
in the world.
Worcester
In
area. Yeah.
Massachusetts.
Here's the, I finally got internet.
Okay.
So this is where the septic's going, right?
Yes, exactly. This whole, I mean,
This
it's
is
only
town
4
line.
trailers left in there. It's right on the lake, basically. That's
Could
where
you
the-
zoom it to where the drainage ditch is? So do you think that you were getting overflow from that drainage ditch?
I
And
know
that
I did.
while it's turning the corner there, that's why it looks like it was wet, and then you dug it out, and
But there is water coming in from the drainage ditch in there.
like that second, like this area right here,
Basically,
well, as it turns the corner?
no. Basically, this is a little bridge, and people throw leaves in there.
Why
for
was it
years
getting
and
wet?
stuff.
Why was it getting wet on that side over there?
What
Where
do you
the
mean,
drainage
wet?
ditch?
It wasn't getting,
Yeah,
No, it wasn't.
he's saying,
That's what Brendan said.
that's.
That potentially is getting
Okay.
wet. So that was his estimate.
and how much did you dredge on the drainage ditch? How many feet would you say?
I say maybe 4.5 to whatever it was.
How much?
How long?
How
How
long?
many feet?
How many feet? Basically, I'm not sure who done it previously, but what I done, it was from the main road to the, so let me see, probably over 300 feet.
And pretty
So
much
that's
all
right there.
boulders?
Yes, pretty much.
So the material that you took out of there is still on site?
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to see what kind of
Well,
material.
it's
came
on the
out.
side.
It's all
on the side of the,
stones. It's all
It's all
stones.
boulder- the
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
Fieldstone?
boulders, I mean, the whole place is stone.
Oh,
It's on the side.
and that did have a lot of sand. You got to think about it. I mean, the town of Sutton sends their guys 2-3 times a year to.
Clean the
do
catch
the-
basin.
Yeah,
Are there?
I'm not sure the Douglas because it's up the hill.
So there's a catch basin in the road and
It's
a
actually-
culvert. It's culverted into that drainage ditch.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say? It's actually
There's
not.
two of them.
It's flowing.
It's a double catch basin.
Yeah.
Well, there's a culvert pipe that's feeding this ditch,
From a catch basin or like country drainage?
catch basin.
Two of them.
Okay.
And
All right,
everything
so-
on the other side, it's on the slope going towards the road.
Mhm.
So that's why I think they done it, the catch bases, because you wouldn't be able to drive in there.
Yeah. Yeah. we
Even
don't-
right now.
They could do what they wanted before. Like,
Well,
that's-
right now, if you think about it, if you're driving there, that side where the catch base is basically almost towards the half of the road still full of ice.
Mhm.
Because
yeah.
everything flowed and
Mhm.
down and freezing at the same time.
So you are going to remove all the material.
Well, I know I'm gonna remove it, I need some time. I told Steve, I need probably the biggest part, I'm gonna remove it right away because I'm gonna reuse it. But then the rest of it, clean up and everything else and reseeding the trees, I need some time because, I have to finish the leach field, if not, DEP's gonna close me down.
Okay, so what's your time frame?
I say I should be able with everything nice and clean, with the new trees and everything else by the end of the May.
Okay, so we'll give you till Memorial Day, May 31st.
And I can, schedule another
Yeah.
appointment,
It's a
come to the
Friday.
meeting.
So
And
we'll
if
have,
Steve
if you
wants
can
to
call
come back.
Steve,
Yeah,
when
if
the
Steve-
the material's been removed.
Yep.
Any trash
No.
anywhere?
No, there's not. We actually cleaned out tons of trash, old
Okay.
trucks and everything else.
Mhm.
Everything's been, I think the scrap guy made probably 10 grand on it.
Okay, so there's, it's relatively clean, no trash.
Oh, no.
The wood that you said was still there, where's that?
It's right on the side of the sheds. I'm not sure if you can see it over here. Basically,
It
what
made it all the way over there?
let me see
5 minutes.
how I can tell. Because there is some sheds in there. So if this is the... So it's gonna be somewhere right over here next to the main road.
Okay. So any debris or trash you can clean up, that would be good. Remove the material, you'll get a revisit, just call Steve on or before May 31st.
Yeah.
And no more digging in the ditch.
Well, I'm gonna probably have to come back one more time. I have one more section that basically...
Then you need to come back and file.
Yes, we will.
Okay.
And
We
that
will, we
definitely
know
will.
it.
Okay.
Basically, it's one more section. When Steve comes back, I'm gonna show it to him. Actually, the pipe, I think it's about 18 inches, and it's open maybe 4 or 6 inches. Everything comes on the roads.
Okay, so I would probably suggest having someone size that for the flow. So have like a proper plan.
Yeah.
Like you did with the septic, but have something that's gonna be there forever that will be the correct sizing.
Well, it's really tough over there because, yeah, I'm definitely gonna hire an engineer and have him size it.
They'll figure it out, cause it
But-
seems like there's a lot happening in that little drainage to make it go like all the way.
Not
and then
really.
to over
Everything's
here.
going down the hill.
Yeah.
If you actually go in there, take a look at it, everything is down the hill. And
Okay.
most of it, I say 90% of the water that goes in there, it comes over the road.
Right,
That's it.
right, so that would,
Which is another issue I have with that, but that's
right,
nothing
so
to
you're
discuss
gonna
with you
wanna
guys.
delineate that, if there's any, vegetation anywhere, any bank. So Steve will assist you with that when the time comes, but we wanna gather as much information.
I really appreciate for you guys working with me on that. Like I said, I want to make the right way. I will clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to, do we have to come back to get permission to cut more trees? Because I have a tree guy and he has to finish it. I have tons of more trees that they have to be removed. They have about 70 to 80 feet high,
Mm-hmm,
and 99% he reaches them with the crane.
mm-hmm.
We've talked with tree guy before, though. We'll have the tree guy come in. If you
I
want,
think
you
a
have the tree guy come in and
request,
tell us what he's
a
gonna do.
request for determination would probably cover that as far as, for your filing. So that other people know that you've filed something to let everybody know that you're cutting things.
All right.
So now,
But
what
you
do we
can
have to
talk
do
to
next
Steve.
to cut those trees?
Yep, a request for determination.
Okay, what do I do that? I see,
So
I'm new
it's
at
like
this,
one
we're
form.
new at this.
Steve will help you.
Yeah, just email me.
Okay,
Maria's on vacation, but I'll point you in the right direction.
alright, that'd be great, yeah.
Alright.
That's-
So then we have it on the record, we
No,
can
I'm doing.
condition it, we can, maybe investigate a little bit more what's happening there. And, so we're gonna remove that by May 31st and then have a revisit. And then the trees you can do anytime, so you can come back before May 31st and file something.
We have to do it before.
We have to do it before we open the campground, which is April 15th.
Because we can't cut it with the kids.
Okay,
It's-
well
it's a
then
liability on
you
us.
should save it. You should get in right away because we have one April 1st and April 15th.
April 1st.
Yeah.
So we need to get.
Yeah,
then
because we open the
there's a
campground April 15th and the kids running around, that's a danger.
yeah.
It's a liability.
Yeah, so that's one of your talking points. You have to file that, this week because there's an article in the paper notice that you have to file. But that's about it. So get that in right away, and then
Okay.
we can discuss that at the next meeting.
I heard that Marie's on
She's on vacation,
vacation.
but Steve is very available
Okay. So
tomorrow
when do
night
you want me and
even if
Steve-
you want to come in.
What's that?
to meet with him.
When do you want me to come
Just
in?
email me, I'll send you the paperwork.
Okay, that'd be great.
Go over on the phone.
All right, sounds great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Good
much
luck.
for your time.
Thank you. Next discussion item, I'll just recuse myself, but I'll still
I wasn't,
run
Thank
the,
you, Steve.
people weren't on the agenda.
no.
Correct.
Sorry. So there's a request for the bond, there's an order of, two order of conditions. Do-
Glen Street?
Yeah,
Yeah, so, yeah, I did the calculations and we just need to vote from the commission to accept the bond amount, right?
Right, which we have. There were, I saw dollar numbers somewhere in here.
Yeah, meeting tonight. Maybe.
we can hold them if you want. It's the next one.
Oh, the
Keep
next
going.
one.
One more,
Thank you.
no problem.
Those are the numbers.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Hold on, the bond for the replication area is only $5,000 bucks? Is that what that?
Let's
And the
combine.
pipe, it's a pretty
And the-
small, it's just the crossing.
It's a little-
How are those mathed?
Well, the replication is a formula, I forget what it is, the dollar something.
$1.50?
$1.50 per square foot of disturbance, so
Oh.
that's standard.
Yeah.
And then because it's in the regulations, and then we get a cost estimate from the contractor on how much it is for the piping and the crossing.
And they take a percentage of that
Well, whatever that is what we bond for.
for the whole amount, and so they're saying
Yeah.
that they're going to put a pipe in for $2,200. Good for them.
It's one pipe.
So we're being asked to approve the bond of,
Yeah,
I can't put a pipe anywhere.
what,
for
the
that.
total of those two numbers?
yes.
I make a motion to accept these values as the bonding amount.
Second,
Is
I
that
mean,
the proper thing?
do I hear a
Way to
second?
do it?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Okay, thank you, people. That was difficult. We're signing, North Village, I wanted to put this on, which, Maria, could you please keep this on for future work? We'll discuss that. Just to notify the board and to the applicant that we've closed out that order of conditions, and if they decide to do any future work within the 100 of the mapped wetlands, then they need to come back and refile.
Are you talking North Village?
Yes.
Thank you. Yep.
So I just want to be clear that there may be some proposed activity that they're not finished
they're about
with.
to do their next phase or whatever, and
Yes.
if they're within the 100, they have to.
Yes. So I
Yep.
want to make that very clear that we have closed out on what activities they have done that
Mhm.
were covered by the order, and any activities that were not done that were on the order, they need to refile.
File.
Is number 5?
That's
This
number
is
6.
number 6.
Number
We,
6.
we have that to sign, and we have vouchers to sign.
We have minutes.
Would you like to go over the minutes, Mike?
I didn't even look at that.
I looked at December and it looked pretty good.
Yes, I did also.
December 3rd. I did look at some of these. Yeah, I'll go with that too.
All right, make a motion to accept the minutes from December 3rd.
Okay, do I
Second.
hear a second? All
Aye.
in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
We approve the minutes.
Jeez, where does this end?
It
How about
doesn't.
How about January 7th?
I started that one. It doesn't end. My favorite packet today was
Is it
reading
on
all
hold?
about the restrictions on the pipeline mowing.
So procedurally, why you close the hearing first before you vote is in case, typically it's not an issue when you're approving a project,
Mhm.
but if you're denying a project, you close the hearing and then you have 3 weeks to make a decision.
Oh, wow.
So if there's cases where you end up denying it, then the commission doesn't have to make a decision that night. You get the stuff together, you talk to this council, you get your reasons why you're denying it, and then you write a good order and look it over, and then, so procedurally, it's beneficial to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. Steve, are you going to let the record show that we're accepting this plan for the Bacon Realty LLC? The second one that was dated 3/13 with the additional pipe? I just don't want to mix these up.
Does it have the street address on that one?
Yeah,
So that's the one.
with the street address.
So that would be the newest one, the one that has the street address.
Just make sure that the order has that in there, because it's gonna be a
149.
little confusing. Whew, it's getting hot in here.
I think I'm actually writing a fever.
Which one are you reading?
January, so you told me to.
7th?
Yeah. Yeah, we only did one.
You know, we could just put these, them on hold for next,
You
shut
want
them
to
off next
hold?
week.
That's fine. That's fine. We got December. I'm glad we just got one.
Yeah, we got one done.
Yep.
And then the others,
And we're actually
So I'm
not
about to
terribly
die here.
behind schedule.
I'll entertain any motions that you guys have.
I don't. I'm
My
ready to
dream
sign.
team. Oh
Do
yeah,
we have-
you,
do we have
did
to
you
sign
check on
stuff?
that?
What?
Did you check on that?
On what?
Signing it within the meeting? There you go. You can do it.
I read the article that says we have 2 things to sign.
Oh, yeah, I know. Without
can
the
do-
adjourning, I'm saying.
Can we
Oh.
adjourn?
I thought you
meeting.
checked
Can
on
we-
something that it says that we would.
What's that?
I've got my Robert's rules that I'm gonna review,
Okay.
just to clarify something.
Or what do you mean?
No, just before adjournment, signing everything, because we can sign when we go in the office, you know, when
That's
we walk
true.
in.
I'm here now.
I know.
So are we gonna adjourn or are we gonna sign first?
I said I would entertain any motions, but nobody wants to make any. It's up to
Can
you
we,
guys.
well.
Just keep
I-
signing.
Can we sign after we adjourn?
I think we can, since you can walk in and sign it in the office.
Good. Save us a walk. It's all right, we'll do the signing first. God, it's middle of there.
I was like, Steve, there's nothing for Woodland. I'm just gonna put these in the old folder.
You know, you want me
Is that
to
okay?
He just gave us that, yeah.
Yeah, what are-
keep it going? It's
Okay.
all one stack, but you,
That's
I've
no.
signed and it's, so
And then we'll move the stack along.
yeah.
Yeah, sign the 149 Southeast Main.
Okay, just. Anybody else have anything? Any new news? Any old news?
I specified that, when we're talking about the rare species of turtles, that they're technically terrapins,
Spotted.
because a turtles is the term for salt water,
Oh.
and tortoise is the term for no water, the ground walking ones.
Yeah.
And
The
terrapin is the
dusty
term for,
ones.
terrapin is the term for freshwater ones. And I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that all of our turtles are.
Are you sure? There's no ocean
So
front
they're
anywhere?
not turtles, they're terrapins.
Really?
Terrapins. Oh my gosh, what a
How come
huge
Brandon
mistake.
never picked up on that?
University of Maryland.
Not sure.
Yeah, but all of the studies of rare species do refer to them as turtles.
Oh yeah, spotted turtle.
Oh yeah, they're all called turtle. We're still wrong.
Yeah, we didn't. No, they decided that they would rather
Well, we'll call them.
have this turtle discussion on camera, live.
We'll call them puritans from now on.
Terrapin. Terrapin? Terrapin?
Terrapin.
Turpentine?
Nope. All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those all go in here.
Thank
I
you.
think.